Hello, my name is JalBagel. I am joined by one of my very favoriteest people in the entire world, Greenspeed. Say hi, Green.
Oh, hi.
And this is Monster Hunter World Xeno percent. So Xeno percent is synonymous to any percent, but traditionally in Monster Hunter games, we name the categories after the monster that it ends with. In this case, we're going to be doing the base game of Monster Hunter World, which is a brand new file all the way to the final boss of the base game experience, Xeno'jiiva, hence Xeno percent. Like I said, my name is Jal. I am currently the second place holder for this game, and Greenspeed just recently beat the world record, and so he is now the first place holder, so congratulations, Green. And we're going to be showing off pretty much the optimized fastest route for this game, asterisk fastest route. It's my version of the fastest route, which is as fast as Green's right now, or at least very close to it. It's actually the first time that two runners have been this close in a really, really long time, so it's very exciting. But we'll talk about the technicalities and the technicalness of the speedrun as we get into the run. We're also going to be showcasing off some of the incentives that I would like to propose for this run as well. One of which is the Hunter and Palico bid war. Hunter and Palico named bid war. There we go. That's the whole words that I'm looking for. At the very beginning of streams, at the very beginning of runs, I usually like to raffle away the names. Then, chat, whoever wins in chat gets to pick the name for the Hunter or the Palico. So you should pick two winners. In this case, though, I thought it would be really cool if we just put that up as a bid war and see what two names stuck. For this case, since we can't really do that actually here, I'm gonna go ahead and just as a little proof of concept for you guys, so you can understand how excited Monster Hunter community is for this. We've went ahead and made a channel poll, so people are going to be able to use their channel points here to vote on this. So we're gonna put up some Hunter and Palico names, those being JalBagel and Bo, which is a classic channel meme. Chow Baby Girl and Jal is a cutie because I like compliments sometimes. And then Everything Bagel and Cream Cheese. So those are our name options. Everyone in chat, get ready to vote. You're gonna have. We'll give it 1 minute to vote on this, and then while you guys are all doing that, we're gonna be setting up the Hunter and the Palico. So without further ado, let's actually get started on that. And then here you guys go. The poll has begun. Go and to your wildest desire, vote on those. Remember, every bagel is a point. Every channel point is a point. So this is from a new game all the way to the end of the game. So we take the beginning of this to kind of set up our Hunter. I always do this female Hunter with a teal pompadour. It's just good luck for me. And we're gonna wait on the results of this poll, which are coming in. So far, Everything Bagel and Cream Cheese is winning, but Chow Baby Girl and Jal is a cutie is slowly but surely approaching rapidly. Reminder, guys, every point that you spend, every point that you spend is a point in here, and I know for a fact as this poll reaches the end, someone's gonna snipe this. So make sure you get your points in and keep battling. I think there's a max that you can do at a time, because yeah, these are we're at 400 points for Everything Bagel and Cream Cheese, and that's what's gonna win. So 454 points for Everything Bagel and Cream Cheese, and then 353 for Chow Baby Girl and Chow is a cutie. So close second, very, very close second. You guys fought for that one. All right, so I don't know if Everything Bagel is gonna fit here. Oh my gosh, it does. And then let's go ahead and get our cat. We have this really neat randomized feature, and I always try to get something fun. Okay, we missed the pink one, but we'll take this. Yes, this one is kind of perfect. It's both my colors, teal, and Green's colors, green.
Pink.
Oh, pink. And then this one's gonna be cream cheese. Sometimes that takes a lot longer. Luckily, we got it very, very quickly here. All right. Something to note too. We have an auto splitter for this game that tracks. That is a thing. We have an auto splitter for this game that tracks in-game time. I'm gonna have a real-time timer going. It's not gonna be perfectly accurate. It might actually sync up after a little bit with the timer on the gaming PC. But we're just gonna go ahead and start this, and then Green, you can go ahead and give me a countdown.
All right.
I'm ready when you are.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. And we are off. So you'll notice the timer will pause every now and then, but we have a real-time timer going for you guys too at home. But this is Monster Hunter World. So this is 2018 game that came out originally on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, now on modern-day consoles and PC, which has been going on for years now. Green and I have been running this game for years. This is an action-adventure role-playing game where you take on the role as a hunter and hunt down big, gigantic monsters, use their body parts for more armor and weapons, and just get stronger and stronger as you go. Started this game, we're heading to an area called the New World, which is where this adventure takes place. But on the way, our boat collided with a mountain in the middle of the ocean. It came out of nowhere, just like that iceberg in the Titanic. And so now we're trying to survive this little bit of an encounter. So Monster Hunter, though, is a really interesting game. There are a plethora of weapons, 14 of them to be exact, and a ton of armor options, skills that are on the armor that change how we play the game, how much damage we deal, all these fun things. And, you know, each weapon is fundamentally different. Like I said, there's 14 weapons. We're going to be using 2 of them for this route. We'll be using Switch Axe and Sword and Shield. And those weapons, they're really, really good. What this game lacks in glitches and skips, because there really aren't any that are useful for the 90% speedrun, it makes up for in just pure technical skill and really, really intricate game knowledge. So we're going to be taking advantage of that game knowledge and the mechanics in which the game operates. And we're going to be taking these 2 incredibly strong weapons, and we're going to be going wild on all of these monsters. But right out of the gate, we're kind of entering the first little tutorial section of the game. This is the Ancient Forest, and the game's going to be teaching us some of the new mechanics recently added with this edition of Monster Hunter. Green, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about those things and how they will be coming up in the run.
Yeah, the main one that's going to be coming up is stealth. The first, year of commentary runs we did for this game, we always joked about how stealth is useless and we never use it. Things have changed a bit. We now use stealth on 30% of the fights. It's actually a very powerful mechanic, since it basically just lets us stop a monster from moving because they don't know where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of what we're going to be doing is called scripting. Just like a play, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and all of the steps in which to get to those points. We're going to be doing the exact same thing with these monsters. We've scripted out the actions that we need to take to control the monster to the best of our ability and finish these hunts as fast as possible. And scripting takes a lot of different forms. The main one is dealing enough damage to get trips, flinches, and other different status effects, which we will talk about more when we get to them. The other form of them are going to be harder forms of control, like using traps. We have 2 traps that we can use, pitfall traps and shock traps, that stop the monster's movement for a bit, as well as statuses. We do see statuses come up once or twice in this run, but not often, because the weapons that we're using don't really take advantage of those tools too much. But right now, we've used stealth for the first time, and this gives me a little bit of a moment to set up some of the settings in the game that I like to use. Unfortunately, every time we start the game, these settings don't carry over from our other, play files, so we have to set them up. Last thing that we're doing here is verifying the frame rate. This 144 FPS is actually really important. It's going to change some of the interactions in the game, and it's actually machine-specific, we found out, not necessarily game-specific, because it just has to do with, the frame rate at that current time when specific actions are happening, which we'll talk about more when those moments come up. But the biggest thing that the 144 FPS is going to do, it's going to save us time in mashing through text sequences. There's a lot of unskippable text, and so the faster we can mash through it, the faster we can go. And between 60 FPS and 144, it saves 40 second screen, give or take. Yeah. But this is the other mechanic that's been introduced in Monster Hunter World. This is tracks. So monsters leave little footprints and other evidence of their existence in the area around, and we can gather those tracks to understand the monsters a little bit more. This is going to come up later when in the mandatory track gathering sections, and we'll talk a little bit about how tracks function then. But for the time being, know that they exist and ignore them for the most part. But we have now just encountered our first inhabitant of the new world. This is the field team leader, or FTL for short, also voiced by Matt Mercer in English, so we call him Matt Mercer sometimes too. And one of the first monsters that we'll be fighting, Great Jagras, and also this big pink T-Rex called Anjanath. A lot of things happening all at once at the very beginning of this. 507's a good time out of Zorah Zero, or out of Astera. That feels good. But right into, right out of the action and right back into our hub world. Monster Hunter is a hub-based adventure game. So in between each of the fights, we're going to be coming back to a hub area. There's a couple of them in the game. We'll be unlocking 2 of them in the base game, just because progression does that for us. This is Astera, and Astera, although being one of the most aesthetically pleasing hub areas and bases in a game that I've ever seen, I love the aesthetic of this place. It's just too big. It's massive. It takes so long to do anything here. So if we can do it in a different hub, we're going to. But for the time being, right now, we have to be escorted by field team leader here, FTL. So we're stuck in this little walking radius, and this walking radius is going to come up a couple of times, but we can skip these. So this is the first kind of little skip of the game. We call it Mercer Skip. So it was found back when we were running the game in English still, and so we named it after the English voice actor, Matt Mercer. But pretty much when we're close to these NPCs and we're being escorted in these sections, we're stuck in this little walking radius. But if we can get far enough away from the NPC, we can start running again, and we're going to use that to we're going to get away from FTL here, get our running speed back, and then we're going to try and skip, cut past him to get over this bridge before we can get stuck in this walking radius again. So it's a neat little skip. This comes up a couple of times in the speed run. But this is the first little one in green. How much time does this actually save?
I think it's 10.
Yeah, 10 seconds sounds about right. But just a quick little thing. You walk towards those boxes. You hug this right wall. I did it kind of a little bit of a shortcut way where I cut that corner. It's a little risky, but you can get away with it. This is what do we call this? A council meeting?
Yeah.
Essentially, it's a scripted dialogue sequence where there's a little bit of animation, a little bit of voice acting, and a bit of dialogue. As you can see, we can mash through almost all of these text boxes, but the ones that we can't mash through, they're actually, the duration of it, the length of it, is linked to the voice acting. So you may have noticed we're playing in a language that doesn't even sound like a language. That's because it's the Monster Hunter language, and it's a weird amalgamation of languages all thrown together to create this truly whimsical Monster Hunter Simlish language. Turns out it's got some of the fastest voice acting in the game, so it makes these sequences a lot shorter and saves about another 40 seconds, right?
Yeah, 40, 50-ish.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder for us to time these out, but definitely a big time save. So we get to pick our weapon, and we're just going to pick the thing that they already gave us, which is the sword and shield. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a little sword, and it's a little shield, but it's big damage. We're not really too worried about the damage early on here. Green's route uses SNS a little bit more in the beginning of the game than my route. I'm going to be sticking mainly with Switch Axe, but for this first quest, it's worth it. And this first quest is Jagras of the Ancient Forest. Green, how about you tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening during this quest?
Yeah, so we're going to be killing 7 small monsters and actually going to be utilizing a little bit of AI manipulation for it. Once we kill the first 2, they're going to try and run back into their den. With their den, they have to run through a little tiny pathway, and we're going to be able to put a little campfire on the ground to kill the ones that try to run inside as they go. So we can just run in past them and kill the one more that we need to, and the rest will just die naturally.
Die of natural causes. Fire on the ground.
Yeah, fire's natural.
It's actually one of the very first strategies for this quest found. I'm pretty sure the very first speedrun of this had this strategy in it. And I ignored it for the longest time, and then, it's real solid. It's a real solid way to do this. Green, can you tell us about quest timers too while we are doing the Jagras of the Ancient Forest?
Yes. So at the end of every quest, the game wants you to carve the monster you just killed. So it's going to give you a 60-second timer at the end to kind of just carve the monster, get all the materials off of it. We don't really need those materials, so we're going to be using the game's end timers to gather things scattered around the map that we'll actually need for items and such. This first end timer, 60 seconds, we're going to be using to get some capture materials. Capturing is the alternative to killing for ending a quest in this game. Instead of having to hunt the monster down to 0 health, you only have to hunt it down to 30%, and then you can use a trap and 2 trank buttons on it. Not only does that save you the time of hunting that last 30% of the monster's health, it also cuts the end timer from 60 seconds down to 20. So it's a minimum 40-second time save, in addition to the extra time of not having to hunt the monster all the way.
I just realized I forgot to start the challenge for our milestone incentive. I just realized that. Here, hold on. I can start it here in a second. I can finish all this gathering, and then we can start it. There's no cutscene on this one.
There's not.
Okay, I can do this fast. Give me this.
You got 8 seconds.
All right, the challenge has been started, so we can talk about the next community challenge. I had it set up to do. Make sure we sell that. So the next, the other incentives that we have set up, this next one is a mini showcase of a kind of a meme speedrun for this game. It's just a mini showcase called Hog and a Frog. Give me 1 second here. I got to do this purchase really quick. Perfect. We'll talk about those trap tools here in a second and why I bought them. But we're going to talk about Hog and a Frog. If you don't know what that is, there's a little pig. His name is Poogie, and he has an outfit of him as a frog. Okay? You want to see this. It is adorable. It is cute. It is perfect in every way. We have a speedrun category to unlock that, which is just the first 12 minutes of the game. So instead of setting up a milestone incentive for a bonus run, I figured we could just showcase it during the run. Doesn't lose a lot of time to do, maybe like 30 seconds out of the way. And what we're going to do is we have the community challenge up right now, which already 30% raised. You guys are awesome. Make sure you keep contributing to that. You have until the Nergigante fight. So right before we fight Nergigante is when we're going to unlock that Hog and a Frog. Already 21,000 of the 50,000. So make sure you guys use those bagels and get that unlocked. And this is I find this to be a great milestone that could be done during the run, before the run, really at pretty much any time. And it's such a cool, it's a cute little showcase, right? Who doesn't want to see a pig wearing a frog costume? It's adorable and you want to see it. Kestadon Kerfuffle. Green, why do we like this quest?
It's every speedrunner's favorite thing, pure RNG. Unlike Jagras, these things do not move consistently at all. They love to spread out. You can't really kill them that quickly. So we just kind of expect to lose like 10 seconds here every time. It's very fun.
Yeah, and something to note too, we haven't talked about it yet, but the category that we are running is called with add-ons. It's the basic, kind of default category for the game, but it allows us to use some equipment that was added after the game came out. It is, in every definition of the word, speedrun equipment. Can you talk about the add-ons really quick while I make sure I don't lose a ton of time to these guys?
Yep. So the two things we get an armor set called the Guardian set, which it's really just defensive gear. It helps us stay alive. It doesn't actually really save us anything. But the weapon is the important part. We get the Defender weapons, which we are guaranteed to get the materials we need to fully upgrade it by the end of the game. And they are, when fully upgraded, the strongest weapon in the base game.
Yeah. So we're going to take advantage of the fact that they gave that to us, because without these resources, this game is significantly more difficult and much more RNG intensive. So much so that you can lose a run 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in, just because you didn't get specific bone material RNG. So you just reset and hope you get it on the next one. But with the defender weapons and the guardian armor, we get to eliminate that, and it makes for a much better speedrun showcase, in my opinion. And it shows off some really cool scripting and some other techniques of the like base game. It's just a really, really interesting, a much more interesting speedrun showcase. But this is now Great Jagras, so this quest is kind of interesting, where it's one quest that leads into another. And on the way to Great Jagras, we're doing some gathering to set up for a strategy called Capture Jagras, or Capris. And I'll let Green talk about that while I focus on doing it correctly.
Yep. So you can see above Great Jagras, there's going to be like a big rock. We're going to shoot that rock. It's going to fall on him. It's going to do 5% of his health and put him into a topple. This topple actually has the highest CC priority in the game. So we can place down our tranks and trap now, and he won't actually fall into the trap until this rock topple ends. So that lets us start building up our Switch Axe's gauge, which lets us do our strongest attack, ZSD. This is the main reason we use Switch Axe. You can just attach to a part and deal damage to it. And now this Great Jagras should be pretty close to dead. Yep. So in the time that rock dropped and he was in the trap, we did 70% of his health to just capture him instantly.
We got the green bone, nice.
We need that bone for a piece of armor later that just gives us a level of attack boost. It's a very small level attack boost, but does actually make a very big difference when it comes to fight scripting.
Yep, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there, and we'll talk about like how tight the fight scripting actually is because of that level of attack boost and what it actually enables us to do. Also, 49,000, 99% to the Hog and a Frog incentive. You guys are cool. We didn't set that super high, mostly because I wanted to make sure that it got met, and I didn't want to waste all of your guys' channel points, but I really do appreciate all of you coming together to do that. Already almost there. Never mind, you guys met it. Good job. You guys are gonna get to see Hog and a Frog, so remind me to do that when we get there, because I will forget. So this next quest is a unique quest. Throughout the game, what we're doing, what the goal of any percent is to finish all the assigned missions. So we're doing all the things that require us to unlock the next assigned mission. That's how we're going to get to the credits, right? That's the goal. Get to the credits. Beat Xeno'jiiva. So to do that, we have to get the next assigned mission. And sometimes those are assigned expeditions. And expeditions are a unique type of excursion. It's not really a quest because there's no specific goal. It's essentially a free roam in the area, and you get to hunt monsters at your leisure. Monsters will come in, you can hunt them, and they will respawn over and over again. And so you can kind of just like use this as a little like, you know, free roam adventure / hunt-a-thon, right? Definitely a lot of fun. We're looking at the ground here because if we looked at that monster there, it actually loses us like 3 seconds here in a bit by giving us an extra dialogue. So we just look at the ground. It's Pokemon Snap rules. If you don't look at it, it saves time. But this next fight is a Kulu-ya-ku. And so expeditions are unique. There's a couple assigned expeditions throughout the run, and they're unique because they do not have an end quest timer. So the moment that this monster is captured or slain, we can just leave instantly. So we're going to take advantage of that and do, you know, actions in specific orders to make sure that we can do that. But this is a really good example of now clagger chaining. This is like an okay example of clagger chaining. And Green's going to explain what a clagger is now.
Yeah. So when the Iceborne expansion to this game came out and gave us the Clutch Claw, it added a new form of CC to monsters called a clagger, or claw stagger. The monster will basically stagger away and start drooling. It'll stay in that state for about 4 seconds, but if you clutch onto it, it extends the state for another 6 seconds. So it's very nice for Switch Axe because we can clutch on and then do a ZSD, which is just our strongest attack. It also works out pretty well for Sword and Shield, just because Sword and Shield has such a high Heartbreak value, and Heartbreak is what claggers are based on. So there's the clagger right there. This initial stab does not reset the Clagger just because you're not actually hitting it with the claw.
Don't mind me losing time.
This next one will. So you saw that little flinch there. The Clagger is going to extend for another 6 seconds. And we don't do it here because we don't need to, but in the future on every Clagger, Bagel's actually going to pause for 2 seconds after clutching on before starting his ZSD to make sure the finisher goes off once the Clagger has ended so that he can get another one, ideally.
Yeah, we'll see that a little bit on the next monster, on Pukei-Pukei, but that was Kulu-ya-ku. Very quick fight. Not a lot of health. It doesn't have a ton, and you're going to notice that too at the very beginning of these monsters, some of these hunts. You know, this is the very beginning of the game, and since we know how to play the game, we're going to take advantage of that. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to do a quick purchase that takes a little bit of concentrating. All right, there we go. Just didn't want to mess that up. We have exactly enough money to do that purchase, and it's a combination of like 2 shops. The one that we used to do a little bit later, it's a little bit safer to do it later. I mean, not even like safer, it's just like harder to mess up doing it later. But we're gonna do that shop again right there. We're refilling on our trap tools, so we have enough to continue capturing monsters, and then also buying some barrel bombs, or barrels to turn them into bombs. And then what else do we buy there? Small barrel bombs, which are just little mini explosives, which we'll be using for a couple of fights. And so bombs deal a fixed amount of damage, and that'll come up occasionally. You know, when we can set up a bomb before a fight starts to help with scripting, we do. And there's not a ton of times that we do that, but there is one fight that is very important for, and we will talk about it when we get to it. But first, we have Pukei-Pukei. So let's see if we got a good coin flip here. There's a 50% chance, it feels like, at least, who really knows how much it is, that there's just an Anjanath here. All right, we got lucky this time. He is not here.
Yippee.
Yippee. We're going to do 2 claw hits and wall bang. That's going to guarantee an enrage, which is going to be a specific roar, and we're going to take advantage of that AI here. Doing our switch axe combo to build up our gauge so we can start ZSDing. And when we ZSD, we do have 4 levels of earplugs. And so then that just lets us... Oh, that's not good. That just lets us stand and continue to ZSD the monster through their roar. We were waiting for this flight animation. This one always happens after the enrage. That's bad because that was a de-aggro. That was a forced out of bounds into a de-aggro. I don't know what's going to happen here. Yeah, all right, that's pretty cool. So that's entirely RNG. There was nothing I could do about that. The monster's head was out of bounds, and so it put me out of bounds. And for some reason, that forced a transition. Some of the monster AI in this game is not the greatest, and now we're going to have another monster deal with. I should have grabbed that. Oh, that was funny. All right, we got our pod, so let's try to do this. Gotta watch this Jagras. Good, he's not moving, so he's not gonna steal our trap. All right, not terrible time loss. The biggest thing to worry about there is we don't have a backup trap. So making sure that that Jagras doesn't walk into it instead just kind of made that a little spooky. Setting up my radial menu here to have some items that we're going to be crafting throughout the run. And I set up most of it. There's one more item that I want to put on there, but we can do that later. Not a huge time loss. Kind of unfortunate still. It happens. We just got to adjust to it and make sure that we, you know, get the monster captured. Capturing is always going to be faster at a minimum by 40 seconds than slaying the monster. So it's good that we still got that capture. All right, up next is the best kind of quest. If you ask a speedrunner, what is the best kind of quest? You will always, the answer will always be an auto-scroller. Just every single time, right? Right, Green? Like, that's the best kind of quest, is an auto-scroller.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so this is, unironically, an auto-scroller. There's something that we can do to make this faster. And you may have been noticing that we're skipping cutscenes throughout this. We are playing with a mod to skip those cutscenes. It makes speedrunning this game an hour faster in real time, which is really, really funny, because there is an hour of unskippable cutscenes if you're playing this game vanilla. So we use cutscene skip mod just to get through this game a little bit faster. asterisk, we can't skip this one, because if we do, for some reason, it soft locks the game. No idea why. So we just said, you know what, our fix is, we'll just watch it. We'll just watch this one. But this is the best kind of quest. It's going to introduce us to a new area, the Wildspire Waste. And this is a great time for us to do, like, 60-70% of the gathering that we need for the rest of the run. Every item that you see me pick up right now, we're going to get to pick up a second time, too. We're going to do this lap kind of twice. And it is a ton of resources, and we're managing them in a very specific way to make sure that we have enough inventory space, right? Because you have a limited inventory in this game when you're out on a hunt. We're going to manage them in a way so that we can make sure that we pick up all this stuff and we don't accidentally overflow our inventory. It's really, you know, when it comes down to it, when you start like looking at the routing of this game, it's always I'm short X resource, and then the game just has that resource in front of you. And so all of our item gathering is, you know, with that in mind. So it's very, very convenient. Coming out here to grab a Might Seed. Might Seeds are very, very important for this route. We were talking about attack boosts to help fix our scripts, to help damage fix our scripts. Might Seeds are a damage item, a damage enhancing item. Whenever we use a Might Seed, we're going to gain additional raw attack. I don't know what the number is. Green?
10.
So yeah, Might Seed gives us 10 additional raw, which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it is. That level of attack boost that we're going to get later that Green was talking about on that one armor piece is going to give us 3 raw. And then a Might Seed gives us 10, and then we can combine that with other Might Seed items by combining Might Seeds with other items that we find out in the world to stack those benefits. So we're going to be doing that on hunts that we need the additional damage to actually make our scripts work. Because without that damage, the script doesn't work. So all of this gathering is done in a very specific way to make sure that we have these resources on these hunts. It's a very, very interesting thing. So you see we caught back up with the cart here. We do need to meet a couple of checkpoints throughout this section to make sure that the cart continues progressing. And we're about to come up to one of those right now. So I'm just doing the last little bit of gathering before they get to that checkpoint spot. Just want to make sure that I'm on top of it. And this routing is actually kind of new to us. And it's also, I mean, I think it's really, really cool. We're really overextending the time that we have here and using every second that this game gives us. So that audio tells me that they're almost here. Perfect positioning. I like to get 2 rolls in there, so I'm going to do 1 more roll so I can start running again. I don't know why it works, but it does. We're going to roll out of that, and then we get to start running again. And we're going to jump down off of this cliff. Little optimization here. We're going to make sure that we hit the ledge there, and we don't get a landing animation. This is a little cute little optimization. Doesn't really save any time because we're waiting here anyways, because we're already at our next checkpoint. And while we're standing here and waiting, we're going to load our map because we're about to do a fast travel. I'm going to open up the crafting pouch and my item pouch and do some inventory management. And then I think I'm a little too far forward. Yeah, we want to be about like right there for that roar. So that Rathian roar, oh, jumpin' Jaggy's a Rathian. That is our cue for this next checkpoint. And now the caravan's freaking out. Guys, we have to take care of that Rathian. Make sure to distract her so we can get by. Or we just leave. They're fine. They can handle themselves. So we're going to grab an item out of the supply box. They are easy throwing knives. We're going to make some fun things out of that. And then we're going to use the camp for the first time. I forgot what I usually do there, but that's okay. All right, so we did some reorganizing there. We made a pitfall trap because we need one for this moment right here, and that's actually the fastest way to do it, is making it in the tent. And then we did some reorganization there to save some time in the future, where we put the trap tools in the first item slot of the item box. And that's just a little optimization, so when we do go to restock on our trap tools, we can do it in, like, 2 inputs instead. 3 inputs? I don't remember exactly how many.
3.
So making those para knives there, they're going to be used in this next in this next fight. And now I have made demon powders. So like I was saying earlier, might seed items, when you combine them with other items, can then stack with might seeds. So demon powder also provides 10 raw, or is it 5?
10.
It is 10,
Demon
yeah, it's the
drug
same.
is 5.
Yeah. So might seed provides 10 raw. Demon powder provides 10 raw. Both of those only last 3 minutes. They're on a duration. So it's an additional 20 raw damage. 20 essential just attack power that we get for eating those items. Absolutely massive. And we're just in an auto-scroller right now, so this is losing us no time at all to gather these resources. So we're just setting ourselves up for success for later hunts. And then we'll be using Demon Drug a little bit later, like Green just mentioned. That's 5 additional raw attack, but those last until the quest ends or you faint, which we call carding in Monster Hunter. You know, your HP becomes 0, you faint to the monster. The Palicos bring you back on a little hand cart and dump you off at the camp. We call it carding. It's kind of funny. It's goofy. So if you hear us say carding, that's what we mean. And ideally, we don't do that, because carding is slow. In pretty much every single quest, if you cart, you lose 1 minute, at a minimum, and sometimes more than that. So you can see we've caught back up to the caravan again. I've made my first set of bombs. We love explosives. We love fireworks. Michael Bay would be so proud of us. And we're going to use those here right before this cutscene trigger. This cutscene trigger is actually kind of unique. You'll notice that most monsters, before we encounter them, we're going to be encountering them in a cutscene. So it's actually going to standardize their positioning and their movement. It's even going to standardize their size, because that is a variable trait in this game. However, for all the assigned missions, that's a fixed number. So that makes scripting actually possible. We're going to put this pitfall trap down on the ground. There's actually a little small rock that was telling me where to put that. And then I'm going to go ahead and eat a might seed, put those 2 bombs down, and I'm going to hover these paraknives. Grab this thunderbug really quick so we have time to. And pretty much the way this is going to start out is I'm going to shoot a stone to blow up those bombs, and then the Barroth is going to fall into this trap. We're going to re-equip the paralysis knives, and then start hitting this poor creature's hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clutch Claw onto there, and continue our ZSD right through the roar. Little variance here. Unfortunately, we got that Clagger now, but that's a-okay. We can just hit it with 2 paraknives and start a paralysis and start doing another ZSD. Now, this is going to perfectly line up. Perfect. With the ZSD damage that we need to do. And as this animation is ending, we're going to get our 2 trank bombs onto the ground, put our shock trap down. I'm going to accidentally reload like a very smart person. That's a-okay. We got plenty of time here. Not worried even a little bit. I was sweating. Something we didn't mention, traps have a duration, right? They do expire when the monster ends up in it. So if I'm too slow there, that trap ends, and then we have to slay it instead so we don't lose resources for the next couple of hunts. However, didn't mess up too terribly bad there. A-okay. But that's Barroth. We're going to be skipping this cutscene, looking at my resources. Did we get lucky? Yes, we got 6 extra Thunderbugs. Yippee. That is what we want. So those extra Thunderbugs...
9 seconds.
Yeah, it saves 9 seconds. We don't have to do gathering for Thunderbugs later, which is awesome. Oh my goodness. All right. Sinister Shadows in the Swamp. Just want to say, guys, we are moving through these quests really, really fast. We're talking about a lot of information. This is mostly just so we can fill the airtime for you guys. Obviously, we can take some time for donations in an actual marathon representation of this run. We just like to talk. But this is a Sinister Shadow in the Swamps, also known as Jyuratodus. Can I get some Joels in chat? Green, why is Jyuratodus awesome?
This monster, his opener does have a chance to just not work if you get bad AI, unfortunately. The area we fight him in is a swamp, which means 90% of it we can't place a trap in. And his Clagger thresholds are just very weird, so he's very hard to lock down.
And I'm going to do my best to do that. So there is a script with Switch Axe, but the very end of it has the highest point of failure, because he's not in control anymore. So let's see if we get our flash off. Yippee! All right, the hardest part is done. double tap twice and launch him into this wall using our slinger ammo. Then we're going to do a grounded zero-sum discharge. So like all the other zero-sum discharges that we've been doing it at amp state, so we latch onto the monster, but not this one. We can still do a zero-sum discharge on the ground, and it's called an elemental discharge when we do that. And we're going to grab this thorn pod early, because he drops them very, very early.
So Thorn Pod, Bagel's going to be able to put it on the monster's head and hit it to actually get a KO, which is a desperately needed extra form of CC in this fight. So here's a Clagger, and here's what we were talking about before. Counts to 2, starts as ZSD, and now it'll end as the Clagger ends, so you can get another flinch. Here's that KO.
Okay, that actually kind of worked out. Still a little sketchy, but that kind of worked out. That Clutch Claw, Clutch Claw targeting, that's a great example of Clutch Claw targeting. I also want to point out that I had a negative second there to do that. I literally started the ZSD frame perfect with the amp state. You saw that the ZSD started and the amp state ended. You can only do zero-sum discharge if you have amp state. So that entire script is on a timer, and any mistake just means you can't do it. And the very, very end of it, you have like 3 seconds of wiggle room for it. That was still really good. We locked him down. We stopped him from moving. The fastest I've ever done that is a 154, so being 4 seconds off of that is pretty good. Up next is one of my favorite scripts in the low-rank portion of this game, Tobi-Kadachi. This is something that I have practiced for a very, very long time, and I love this script. It's very easy to mess up, but as long as you pay attention to your damage and position correctly, you do it just fine. The other point of failure is this trap placement. We're going to place a trap on the edge of the cutscene trigger where the monster is going to spawn in, but the trap placement is kind of tight. If you use Sword and Shield here, which is what green does, you can actually just place that trap immediately out of the cutscene, but that's just because you can use items while you have the weapon out with Sword and Shield, so you get to take advantage of some animation commitment and just place the trap immediately. Instead, we're going to have to put it on the edge of the zone, and we're going to put some bombs down next to it, and this is going to be called Hugster Trap. It was found by another runner who speedruns with dual blades, Mr. Hugster, shoutouts to him, because this opener is only possible because he found this on accident. I don't know if there's anything else to say about this other than just watch. It's cool. Hopefully I get it. Hugster is my goat. Hugster's found a couple of like really interesting openers in here entirely on accident, which is awesome. And just goes to show that the more runners a game has, the more we get to find. Taking that a little bit slowly so I actually get the placement. That looks pretty good. We're going to hover our Ghillie Mantle, put these 2 bombs down, and dodge into it. Alright, it looks like I missed that, so we're just going to bait him back to it. Positioning is not good here. So we're just going to pay attention to damage, and we can no longer do the script. Because all those gray numbers just did not help. So we can do it, but we're going to have to maybe hit him a couple extra times. I'm actually just going to do a full finisher here. That might help.
Yeah, he should be okay.
Alright, he didn't knock me down below. So, taking advantage of stealth, like Green was talking about earlier. Ooh, that's not good. And there it is. I was literally 1 hit short. Alright, unfortunate. We should be fine here. Yeah, we're fine here. You have one backup in this section. And since I also got the extra Thunderbugs on Barroth, that actually fixes that mistake, so we're a-okay. But literally one hit away from that. One hit. I should just extended my ZSDs a little bit longer, but it's sometimes a little hard to tell. Still a very good Tobi-Kadachi. Just getting it in the trap is the most important part. I'm fine on traps here, right? Because it's just one. Yep. Yeah, it's just one pitfall. I just won't have any afterwards. Yep, we're good. Yeah, the gray number means a bad hit zone, which means it's not doing a lot of damage. We want to see yellow and orange numbers, not gray ones. So when we were talking earlier about Clagger chaining, this is a prime example of Clagger chaining. Anjanath is a very Claggerable monster. We can just chain this over and over and over again on his head, which is really, really nice. The only downside to it is that it's kind of a difficult fight, right? You got to just do this accurately. So this is the main reason why I use Switch Axe in the low rank section, is specifically for this hunt. Because with SNS, this is difficult. We're going to start off with a flash, control his movement here, and put down a pitfall trap. Start with these attacks on the head. We're going to Clutch Claw on out of that ZSD and start a ZSD while on the head. That is optimal. That blast proc there, those are random. This is fine. We're just going to do a draw attack. All right, we got there. 1, 2. Start our next ZSD. I'm short of ZSD right now, aren't I?
I mean, yes, but you normally overdamage by a ZSD.
Once again, using stealth here to draw him under that rock. Can't miss any more hits here. All right, we almost missed too much there. Hey, look at that. Extending this because we got out of that Clagger a little late. And then now we can safely put down a shock trap and 2 tranks. And the quest is done. We didn't talk about powerful slinger ammo and how that's an indicator of health for us, did we?
No.
Okay, so those 2 red rocks that were on the ground, those like 2 little red dots, those are powerful slinger ammos. The monster drops them at specific HP intervals, and because of that, we can use that to track the monster's health. For all but one monster in low rank, when the monster drops... low rank and high rank, excuse me. For all but one monster. When the monster drops 2 of those red rocks, they are capturable. So we can use that as an HP indicator so we know when the monster can be captured in case we go a little off script sometimes. Because if we do the script right, we know we can capture. But sometimes if we mess it up or like weird things happen, then, you know, we could use that as a backup. But we are coming to a very, like, big major event of the speed run. This is Zorah Magdaros 1. So Zorah Magdaros is the name of that big mountain that we hit out in the middle of the ocean. We found him again. And we're going to go and try to capture him. Little do they know that's not possible. So, you know, unfortunate. Oh, what was the channel point? Oh, the even or odd split. Okay, cool. I see it now. Thank you for starting that. Guys, there's a channel point prediction for the even or odd split on Zorah Magdaros. Good luck. But Zorah Magdaros is an interesting quest. It is kind of an auto-scroller, kind of not. ZK, thank you so much for that follow. Come on in. But the Zorah Magdaros fights, and I say fights plural because, you know, Zorah 1 implies that there is a Zorah 2. they come in phases, right? And in the Zorah Magdaros 1 fight, phase 1 can be sped up, which is really, really nice. So what makes this quest end and what makes it progress faster is Zorah Magdaros doing things. So here in phase 1, Zorah Magdaros needs to do 2 hand attacks before he will progress to this barrier. And we want him to do that as fast as possible. On top of that, at least one of these one-shot binders has to be fired. Now, if we fire it, the duration of it is really, really short. But if we let the NPCs fire it later, for some reason, it lasts like 2 or 3 times as long. So we just don't want to deal with that. We're just going to fire it off immediately, and now that requirement is met. Now Zorah Magdaros is going to start coming to the barrier, and he's going to be doing some attacks. And we want to stop those attacks as fast as possible. Those attacks have to happen for him to progress in this phase. So we want them to start, but when they start, the condition has been met. And we can stagger him out of it using these ballista, these like arrow ballistas, and also the cannons that are set up. Like you see this cannon right here, that ballista over there. We're going to use all these resources to stop him from doing things. Essentially, we're going to be shooting the cannons and the ballista to flinch him out of these animations the second that they start. But there is a lot of waiting here still. We're going to push this cannon to the left once and start doing some, you know, micromanaging, as I like to put it. I'm just finishing setting up my radial menu, opening up my item pouch, managing some items here. We don't need any more of those fire herbs, and I can discard one of these gunpowder because we only need 2 more for the rest of this run. The rest of our stuff is looking good. Now we're just going to be waiting for Zorah Magdaros, and unfortunately Zorah 1's a bit of a waiting game. Yo, I appreciate that, ZK. Thank you so much. So this is a little bit of an auto-scroller, but we do have some things to talk about on Zorah 1 Phase 1 to make this faster. So we're coming up to that first thing. Zorah Magdaros is about to do something that I call Big Steppy. When Big Steppy ends, we can fire this cannon. Right now. That's going to give us our first flinch. We're putting on the Ghillie Mantle here to stop these birds from bothering us. I noticed Green doing something in his runs now where he tries to hit these with the ballista first before putting this on. I might start doing that, but I haven't tried it yet. Smile.
Yeah, you do still need the ghillie, unfortunately, because you can only kill like 2 of them.
Yeah, you can get rid of like 2 out of the 5 that come in, and then you still have to ghillie up. I get hit by these guys all the time. But now we're waiting for the next Zorah Magdaros attack. So the first attack that he does is a hand slam, and he breaks one of these cannons. The next one that he does is like a lava ball attack, but this one's a really obvious cue. You'll see that his head stops moving, but his beard wiggles a little bit still. It's a very interesting kind of animation. You'll notice it now. He's going to end this step here, and you'll see it. So right here, you see his head stops, but his beard still wiggles. That's a good indicator for us. We're going to go ahead and fire that, take the Ghillie Mantle off. That's going to line us up here to get a chest break. 1, 2. Good chest break. Now we're going to dodge some birds, and we're going to save 25 seconds. Right, Green?
Yeah.
Wait for a little chest flinch here. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're shooting these extra ballista into his chest to queue up another stagger. We're going to use that stagger to skip his roar animation, and then he's just going to go break the barrier even faster. Neat little optimization. You and Luigi found that, right?
No, that was just me.
So you okay? Yeah.
Luigi
so Green optimized this.
Optimizing Nergigante.
Gotcha. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are now queued up for a flinch. So the next arrow that I shoot will flinch him out of whatever he is doing. So we're going to wait for the roar animation to start. And similarly to the second flinch, you'll kind of see him like stop for a second, like kind of jolt a little bit, and then start the next animation. And that's a really good tell for like when this thing actually starts. Right there. All right, so that's Phase 1 done. That's fast Zorah Magdaros. So this gives us a little time to do some item management. We're going to sell some materials. We're going to check some materials. We're going to redo our item pouch heading into the next segment of this speedrun. This is a really great opportunity for us just to come in here and do a bunch of management. First thing I'm doing is doing some equipment management to just change the slots there. We're going to be optimizing some menuing later. And then next, we're going to do some crafting. We're gonna make 3 mega nutrients. Those are going to get combined later into max potions. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 pitfall traps right now, and then I'm going to make 1 shock, because I don't have a shock in my inventory, right? Correct. Yeah, I just need 1 shock right now. The great thing about right now, though, is that we have a ton of time to do pretty much everything here. We get to remanage our inventory. We get to restock on a bunch of items. And I have picked up a bunch here. Yes, we will have 4 inventory slots left at the end of this, and that's what we want. But now our inventory is set up in a specific way to have trap tools and pitfall traps next to them. You'll notice later we're going to do a really fast restock on that. And now we just want to make sure that we have 36,000 Zenny. And we're good there.
My bladder is not happy. I will be right back.
Miss you. Yep, and just double checking that we have everything else good, but we're pretty much waiting now. So unfortunately, phase 2 of Zorah Magdaros is a 7-minute waiting phase. So I have a fun little game that I want to do with chat and with everyone else at home too. If you're watching this, feel free to participate while we do it live. But we're going to be doing some Monster Hunter trivia. I thought this would be a little fun way to kind of fill in this time and give you guys some fun facts about the game that you may not know. So, yeah, we're going to have some Monster Hunter trivia here in a second. So those of you guys that are in chat right now, you can use channel points to predict what the answer to the trivia is to win some extra points from your fellow viewers. But really quick, before we do that, we're just going to do some inventory management and some item bar management. Just going to double check that I've crafted everything that I need to, and we have. And now I'm going to edit the item bar. The weird thing is that this doesn't always stay, and we don't really know why. But we are going to be trying to keep this item bar managed for ourselves so we know where items are on our item bar. And so everyone kind of sets this up their own way. This is the way I've been doing it for years, so I just keep doing it this way. And now that is set up, I forgot to dance. Because we need to be dancing. We always got to be dancing. All right, cool. So while we wait here, guys, we have some Monster Hunter trivia. Who's ready for some trivia? So I'm going to go ahead and get the first one set up here, and then we will... Oh, wait. Oh, I can't make a new one. Shit. We're going to get rid of the... we're going to get rid of the split time prediction. I'm going to get rid of it. You're going to be refunded your guys' points because I can't do the trivia at the same time. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. We'll do it on the next one. Selecting will send back to participating viewers. Yeah, okay. Delete and return points. Yippee! Okay, sorry, guys. But let's go ahead and start a new prediction. Oh, whoops. Huh. Okay. It's too long. So I'm just going to call it Trivia 1. And I'm going to say what the trivia is.
Come back to.
It's too long. Okay, but yeah, the trivia question is too long. I had to refund the last prediction so we could do this.
What?
Well, like, sorry. We had to. All right, so this is just going to be trivia question 1. So we're going to give you guys 1 minute to predict on this. I'm going to go ahead and say the question. I'm going to tell you guys what the trivia question is. I'll repeat it a couple times. You guys are going to vote on it, all right? Restolo, I actually really like your question, and we'll answer that really quick. Doing damage to this monster does absolutely nothing to speed up the fight. We've already done all the requirements. All we do is just stand here. Don't fight the magma cores, because if you break them, it slows down the quest. So here's your first trivia question. What returning monster appeared alongside Monster Hunter World's Anjanath in the Monster Hunter World tech demo released in 2018? What monster? Your choices are between Mitsuzune, Legiacrus, and Rathalos. So what returning monster appeared alongside Anjanath in the Monster Hunter World tech demo? It was a tech demo that was shown before the game came out that showed off all of the cool and exciting things, all the endemicness of the game. What monster, what returning monster appeared alongside? Was it Mitsuzune? Was it Legiana? Was it Rathalos? Maybe we make this a little bit shorter. 1 minute seems a little long. We'll do it 30 seconds next time. Wrong answers only, please. Yeah, wrong answers only. You have to, if you pick the wrong answer, it helps people to get the right answer. Just saying. Well, you guys can go ahead and predict. Use your channel points. Win some things there. All right, you don't got much more time. What is the returning monster that appeared alongside the Anjanath in Monster Hunter World's tech demo? Ending now. All right. It has ended, and the answer is a resounding 98% of you knew this answer. Legiana. Good job, all of y'all. Yeah, the answer is Legiana. Though it wasn't featured in the game, the fan favorite Legiana was shown battling Monster Hunter World's leading T-Rex, Anjanath, in the 2018 demonstration of the game's engine. Good job on that one, guys. We'll set up, yeah, complete prediction. There you go. Okay, I can't set up another one, but that'll happen a lot faster in Convention Actual. It'll happen a lot faster in Convention Actual, or in Thing Actual.
That was also more like a 60% split. I may have put in 250,000 on Legiana in the last 2 seconds.
Oh, nice, good job. All right, so we've reached the end of Zorah Magdaros. Setting that up took a lot longer than I thought it would. I have more trivia questions that I would love to do during an actual marathon attempt of this, just to help fill some time and maybe impart some new knowledge onto you guys. But what we're setting up for right now is called called Nergigante Quick Kill. So we're falling off of Zorah Magdaros here to reset our position on the back of Zorah Magdaros, and we're finding this specific rock to put 2 barrel bombs onto. A creature, I guess he's the flagship of World, right? Nergigante, here he is going to land right on top of those bombs. We need to repel him as fast as possible to end this quest. We're going to dodge that roar, place 2 of these barrel bombs down. Those are explosives on a timer. We're going to do a draw attack, and we're done. And pop start ants in. Nice. And that's it. That is Zorah Magdaros 1. So traditionally, we've split up this game category because it used to be 5 hours long. Now it is no longer 5 hours, but 2 hours and 40 minutes. I forgot to mention the estimate. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Wow, oops. We meant to say that at the beginning. But the estimate is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. It gives us about 10 minutes of wiggle room, and this game can be really, really punishing where we can just lose 2 minutes for no reason, and also lose 2 minutes to an incredibly skill issue trick. So it gives us a little bit of wiggle room. It's a nice little estimate for us for a long speedrun category. But traditionally, because Monster Hunter was a really, really long game, we had shorter partial 90% categories, and Zorah 1 was that first partial 90% category that we have. The next one is Zorah 2, and then the full 90% is Xeno'jiiva. I can't add a card at the beginning. You are right, Rain. That'd be a good idea.
They also get the prediction when we submit.
Yeah, but like I feel like it's good to say that. Like, how many people actually read that? Like, do you guys actually read what we put in these? No, I know you do. So we're now moving into another story portion of the game. Zorah Magdaros progressing through the world has unlocked a new area for us. So he trudged through this mountain, creating this great ravine, as is so aptly called. And this is going to reveal to us a new area. One of my favorite areas aesthetically, but one of my least favorite areas to actually fight in, because like every area is just a really big slope. But this, hold on, we got a big reveal coming up. Actually, skip it instantly so you won't really see it. But this is going to bring us to the Coral Highlands, which is essentially a coral reef, but above ground, like above water. Like it's in a mountain. It's really, really cool. Oh yeah, we don't even see it right here yet. We see it here in a second. This is also going to unlock our next hub area. This is the research base, and the research base is great. It has all the same amenities, sans a couple of them, as Astera, but it is literally like the 10th the size of Astera. It is so much smaller. Everything is so much closer. So anytime that we have to do a weapon upgrade, craft a piece of armor, even talk to the handler, we'll leave Astera and we'll go and do it in the research base instead. This is the Coral Highlands. I love this area so much. You can go to that mountain that you see all the way in the background. It's very, very cool. One of my favorite aesthetic areas. And like we had mentioned before, we're going to save 9 seconds because we don't have to gather the Thunderbugs here. We can just skip them, right? Because I got 6, that's 5, and that's all the ones that we gather here, so we just don't have an extra. And we're going to pick up an extra in the next quest, so we're good. This is an expedition. We had to do a couple things during it. Number 1 is spot that monster. It's called the Xeno-jiiva. And number 2 is unlock a base camp. We're going to go and unlock a camp that's up in the mountain here. And that's going to be it. That's the whole expedition. So these come up every now and then where we just have to complete little tasks. Luckily, in this one, we don't have to actually hunt anything. We could just run directly to the goal and continue on to the next assigned mission. I feel like there's a ton that we just haven't talked about in this game, and it's just completely crossed my mind. Stamina management. It's actually the first time that stamina management actually comes up. Just like in other action RPG games like Dark Souls, you have stamina, and if you run out of stamina, you end up in like a winded animation, and you can't run again for a little while. So this movement is all like very precise stamina management. Just kind of cool, little neat optimization. But now we have discovered this camp, so we can go ahead and leave, head back to the research base, and launch our next quest, the Paolumu. Green, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Paolumu hunt and what we're going to be doing next, actually?
Yeah. So now, for all but 2 fights in the rest of the game, we're going to be switching to Sword and Shield.
Yippee!
It is just... It's the highest damage melee weapon in the game. And it's just much more consistent than Switch Axe for the rest of the game. Its main combo not only does a lot of damage, but it does a lot of part break, which lets us get a lot of staggers and a lot of CC. Our scripting mentality is going to change a little bit, though. Sword and Shield doesn't have a consistent way to chain claggers together like Switch Axe does, so we're actually going to be trying to alternate claggers with other forms of control.
Yeah, it definitely changes the mentality of how we have to like script and work with SNS, and it's a nice little refresher. SNS is definitely one of the harder weapons to use, but we start, it starts just to get even faster and faster, just faster than Switch Axe here. And Switch Axe just doesn't have consistent scripts from here on out, unfortunately, except for the 2 fights that Green had mentioned. On at least those 2 fights, it is consistent, and so we will use it on those, and then everything else is just going to be Sword and Shield. That extra Thunderbug that I was talking about, and we're just going to have to eat a ration here at some point, but we're going to be just trying to pick up a couple of items here on the way and make sure these Shamos don't bother us. All right, so we should be good now. A lot of this item routing is how do we lose the least amount of time picking up the items that we need for the rest of the run. And so like I said, we need flash bugs, and the game's going to give us flash bugs. Green, I'm going to let you talk about this while I do it.
Yep, so this is going to be our first instance of a Tenderize. That little claw uppercut they did half a Tenderize on the monster's head. This next one will get the full Tenderize. You can see it's kind of white and patchy now. On average, that's about a 10% damage increase. It does vary based on the monster and body part. But that combo Bagel just did is Perfect Rush. That's our main Sword and Shield damage combo. Now using Shield Bash to get a KO for control into another Perfect Rush, or PR.
Unfortunate. I got hit lag.
Late, unfortunate.
Yeah, I got hit lag, so I missed that. All right, we got it back.
But there's a Clagger. We can grab this Clagger and then drop off, and that actually perfectly times out for us to place a Pitfall Trap. And we can actually pre-trank the monster now. We can fit 2 PRs into this Pitfall as long as we dodge out before the finisher. Gets us another Clagger, and now we can trank it, trap it, and do 1 more PR. powerful.
Just extending that Clagger there for safety. The game is very, very, like, the routing is very, very resource tight. We don't have any... We have what? One extra right now. We have one extra trap, and it kind of messes up some of our, you know, restocking movement. It's ideal to not lose that stuff. I'd much rather lose the 3 seconds to extending that Clagger than just missing a trap for some reason. So I was extending that just to make sure I got the full duration of it. Still a very good hunt, just not being really, really greedy for marathon safety, and just to make sure that we get through the hunt in one piece. So next is Radobaan, and this is another expedition. So we do have... Oh my gosh, if I say no one more time. There we go. We did it! Yippee! Hitting yes is the hardest part of this game, especially when you speedrun master rank of this game, like I do. In all of low rank and high rank, the default option is yes, and then in master rank, they changed it to no, and now my muscle memory is just broken. I've been doing a lot of master rank speedruns lately. But this is another expedition, but it's a scripted expedition. It's an assigned expedition for this Radobaan. I'm going to let this script kind of speak for itself, unless Green wants to talk about it.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, but it's kind of a cool one.
Yep. So similar to Jyuratodus, starting out with a flash just to force his position into a good place. Claw uppercut to get half a tenderize into a wallbang. Now a clutch onto the head and a manual tenderize to get the second half of that tenderize off. Picking up the Slinger Thorn for a KO later and starting a PR. Our first Clagger. This is one of the few times we can actually fit a PR in on the Clagger. Reason being, you saw that step forward there. He will always enrage right there, which gives us a little extra time to consistently hit it. Now we can get our KO in. And Trank and grab.
Yeah, I missed my PR there, so I missed a little bit of damage. It should have trapped the moment I did that, but we were only one hit short, so it's a-okay. So the last thing that we have to do in this expedition is spot a great Gyros. We actually don't have to hunt it, we just have to look at it. So on the way to this monster, we're going to be picking up a lot of parashrooms. We need more trank bombs, and we are short parashrooms. The route giveth. It always provides. The route provides. And here there are just a ton of these parashrooms to pick up. And so now we are running directly to the Great Gyros. Once we get that expedition complete, we can return from the expedition and head on to the next fight, the Legiana. Oh boy, Legiana's fun. So Legiana is an interesting fight. We're actually going to watch its cutscene outside of the quest and then start the quest. It's just how this section progresses. It's kind of weird, it's kind of goofy, but the nice thing is that the quest is still fully scripted in that he's always going to spawn at the top of the Coral Highlands and work his way down. So we're actually on a bit of a timer when this quest starts, and we're going to try, well, not try, we're going to succeed because, you know, it's easy for us to meet this cycle, but we're trying to get to the cycle when Legiana is landing in the area that we want to fight him, so we can wallbang him during that landing animation. Really quick, just a quick restock and getting that pitfall trap that we made earlier during Zorah 1. That's going to be a secret tool for us for later. So eating is also a form of increasing our attack damage. This is one of the times where eating is just completely free because we're waiting anyways. And it's going to give us a medium attack boost. Actually, I have no idea how much that is. But... Oh, how much?
10.
Oh, nice. Okay, so it's 10. We're going to jump off there, use our demon powder, and then we grab some items from the supply box there. These poison knives, which are very important. And easy flash bombs. And so the nice thing about the flash bombs is that is a item that the quest gives us. It's just 3 flash bombs, so we don't have to use our own throughout this hunt. And there's one time that we will probably, right? There's one time that we'll use it. And then hopefully we don't need them anymore after that. But in case we do, we have 2 extra. The poison knives are really nice. 1 poison knife will poison Legiana. I have managed the poison knives in a way that the reload will be a lot faster, so I can poison Legiana, clutch claw on, and then wallbang it with just enough time. If I didn't do that, we don't actually have enough time to clutch claw into the monster to get the wallbang. So it's a really small optimization that makes a huge difference in this script. Also going to hit this Kelby with one of these because I don't want them here, and just shooting one makes all 3 of them run away. Putting 1 barrel bomb down, just a little bit of damage, and then we're going to wait for this guy to land. So as he gets closer to the ground, we're just going to be hovering over this reticle, wallbang, re-equip the flashes, and then I'm going to go ahead and do this, and green can take it from here.
Yep, so start with a partial PR. We don't actually want the finisher here. Dodging out and actually going for a mount attack. Now, mounts are generally slow, but we're just going to drop this one immediately because it forces her into the air and lets us flash her down. A flash times out perfectly for us to do a full PR into a Clagger. Now we're going to grab this Clagger with a Claw Uppercut and then drop off and do part of a PR. And now she's primed for an Enrage Roar, and the back hop actually has iframes on it, which lets us dodge the roar. And she recovers from the flash here, which gives us time to fit in a full PR on that roar. Now a second Claw Uppercut will both extend this Clagger for us and tenderize the head, and we can go for a KO. Placing down 1 Trank. Going for a PR. Into a Clagger, grabbing it for safety, and placing down a second Trank and a Trap, and then 1 more PR should do it.
Beautiful. So there's a little bit of a variance there, right? The weapon that we're using does have that blast status on it, and that can kind of change a little bit, like when we get these claggers and staggers and different animations. Plus, her animations will change the direction that she's facing sometimes, just making it a little bit more awkward. Happy that that stayed together, because that can go horribly, horribly awry sometimes. But that still came out really, really good. 2 extra flash bugs there is really, really good. Extra flash bugs just means we can skip one on this next quest, and just having extras always feels good, just in case your flying wyverns get away from you. You know, it's just good to have that backup. This next quest is a quest proper, right? It is a quest proper.
Yep.
Even though it doesn't start like a quest proper, it is a quest proper. It's kind of weird. But this is Odogaron. So Odogaron has what we call a pseudo script. It's more of a strategy, this one. Green's been trying to lab out an even better way to do this. It makes no sense to me, so I'm just going to unga bunga and hope it goes well. But this is a fight that can either go really, really well or really, really poorly, and we're hoping for really, really well. Right? You know, because when things go well, it's just more fun and it's faster. But essentially, we're just going to be trying to make sure we do specific things at specific times to keep this monster under control the best that we can, and then we're just going to be reacting a lot to what he does. Using our items while we're in the air there, just to save a little bit of time from this slow walk animation. Whenever you use an item, you slow down a little bit. So we just try to avoid that by overlapping animations together. Having another ration here. And then let's get good AI. Good. Head turning to the right like that just makes this opener a little bit easier. We're going to do a triple hit for a half tenderize, and then wall bang. And we're going to go straight into PRs. So the goal here is to get a clagger after this, so we want to make sure that we land our PR on the head. I'm just going to go right through it. So my positioning was a little off. Oh well. right, we got that Clagger finally. A little slow on it, but that's okay. The half tenderize and this tenderize attack is going to fully tenderize the head and drop a Pierce Pod. We're going to use that Pierce Pod to flinch him and deal massive damage. Really good stagger for us. Very good Clagger for us. And we're going to try and chain this together. Sometimes we can. All right, we got a pseudo topple. I'm just going to guard here because I'm not in a great position. And he did a very weird animation where he canceled it. So that pod drop is what we were looking for, and now we can go ahead and capture the monster. When he drops the first pod, we know what this HP threshold is at, and so 3 Slinger Bursts will always capture him, and we got it in 1. Not the cleanest, but still pretty good. That's a fight that can definitely get away from you, so that wasn't terrible. Next, though, is kind of a hard fight. Green, you want to talk about Expeditionless?
Yes. So this is the biggest new discovery we've had in a while. For the longest time, we would go onto this story expedition, spot the monster, and then leave. Because the game wants you to hunt the monster in an expedition, but if you want to, you can leave and hunt it in a quest. Recently, we found out that instead of the monster flying away after you spot it in this expedition, if you set up a trap in the right way and shoot a flash pod in the right way, you can actually stop him from leaving, and it saves a minute.
Very, very nice. So hopefully I can do that here. It's not the hardest thing to do, but it's very easy to mess up. And I messed it up like 4 times in practice the other day, like in a row. But I think I know what I was doing wrong there, so it should be okay. So we're crafting our very first max potion. We're going to get enough materials to craft 3 of those, and that's just kind of safety for Elder Dragons and pretty much just anywhere else in the run too. It's going to heal us to full and also increase our maximum HP. So it's a nice little safety. It doesn't really lose us anything to go and get these. And realistically, if we have like bad Elder Dragons, it's just going to save a run, which is very, very nice. Nice little safety option to have. Grabbing in a backup Thunderbug here. That one's just extra to make sure that we, just have an extra just in case if something goes horribly awry. We have a little bit of a safety net for ourselves. And then right here is a little neat optimization. Oh, I didn't get it anyways. That's fine. But pretty much you can do a claw uppercut there to keep moving through that cutscene. That little trigger she normally makes you stop moving entirely. That looked good. Alright, I'm going to focus on doing this. This fight is really, really tight and very, very fun to do. A little bit of focus mode right now, but you can see the pitfall trap activated on the right-hand side. Now we're going to flash. And I missed it. You know what? If we're going to miss it, now's the time to do it in marathon practice. So unfortunately, this does lose, like Green said, about a minute. It shows up as about 2 minutes on splits, but we end up saving that time again later. That does mean that we just leave and then we relaunch it, but we do lose those resources that we used, which is unfortunate. And this just takes some time getting back up into the tree. What can you do? Sometimes you miss it. I think my trap was just a little too... wasn't back far enough. But who really knows? I don't, unfortunately. Because it looked good to me, and yet I still miss it. So pretty much just...
far off.
Yeah. It happens, and that's A-okay. We are going to have to kind of hurry here, though. We're on a cycle again, so Rathalos is up in that nest, and we're trying to get back up there as fast as possible. This route does not unlock Camp 17. We call this route 17-less. There is an older route that uses Camp 17, but turns out this is just faster, ignoring that and actually getting Expeditionless. This is good. I mean, this is good for Marathon. We'll still be an estimate. Our estimate is built with losing this in mind, which is great. Because we have that bit of safety in here. Still cool to hit, and this does kind of mess up his positioning a little bit, which sucks, but, we we should be fine. I also got extra flashes earlier, so this makes this a little bit kinder to do. So we're going to flash him so he doesn't leave. We're going to put down 2 barrel bombs. We're going to run off the ledge here. Those barrel bombs are going to trigger a environmental trap, and we're going to jump off before we get swept up in it. Alright, we should be good here. Is really high up in the air. That's unfortunate. All right. Whoa. A little close there because of that guard slash that was not intentional, and that meant I almost missed that that trap. It was about a second off from ending. A little spooky there, but we got it. Unfortunate thing is that we can't set up that head tenderize earlier to make this quest go a little bit faster. So I had to do a little bit of extra damage just to make sure I got that. And I'm happy I did because I almost didn't do it. And if I didn't, we wouldn't have passed. So that's good. But Expedition Low saves a ton of time because it also cuts out this segment too, where you have to wait for the end quest timer. It saves a ton of time, and it's a little unfortunate to miss. Make sure we get it in marathon, but it's good to miss it in marathon practice, right?
Yep.
Quick little restock
keen
here.
Eye, you may have noticed Bagel was not crafting new tranks since Legiana. Reason being is we have some trank materials in the box we need there, so we can just auto restock. To refill everything in our inventory. Saves a few inputs.
Yeah, the only thing that I accidentally crafted was my last flash bug, so I had to manually restock those, and I did it the slow way, which takes an extra input. That's A-okay. So here is Diablos. Diablos is a very interesting fight. It's one of these fights that is entirely reactive. Hopefully we can lock him down. Hopefully he does the opener correctly, and we can just gas here. That'd be really nice. Okay, he did the opener correctly. Got to do that. We got plenty of time here. Just want to tenderize this leg first. I don't know what he's going to do here. Oh, he still did this. Blast proc? Blast proc? Thank you. Okay, unfortunate dig, but that's fine. We have these easy screamer pods that we took out of the box. Okay, we got a Clagger. That's okay. We just can't get another... We can't get that animation again, or we get another Clagger. Oh. Oh, hey, look. Perfect. All right, so that pod dropping tells us where his HP is at. I'm just positioning myself kind of right, because this is going to pull him out. Make sure we don't guard slash. I did it blind. Let's go. Yippee. Pretty good Diablos on, actually. And by pretty good, I mean really good. That was a 240. It's very fast. Sub 3 is always the goal, so anything beyond that is just really, really good. Cool. So yeah, I mean, as you noticed, Diablos gets to move a little bit at during our finisher. Unfortunately, that's just like a product of using this weapon here, but this is by far the fastest weapon to use. So it's a little bit of reactiveness that we have to kind of account for, and just paying attention to what Diablos is going to do next. Generally, digs are slow, but getting a dig when the first pod drops is amazing. As long as we still have a Screamer pod, we can just pull him back out of the ground, set up on him, and then crank, train, trap, and do that last PR. So cool. That's all of the that's the second half of low rank, and we're now moving into the second partial 90% category, Zorah Magdaros 2. We found him. He's back. Unlike Zorah Magdaros 1, this quest is a little bit more interactive. He's got a much bigger health gate that we actually have to beat, and so that means we have to interact with pretty much all the mechanics that are available in this quest. There are stalagmites and stalactites all over this arena that we're going to have to drop on Zorah Magdaros at specific time intervals to flinch him out of specific animations, or we're going to drop the rocks during specific animations so we don't get like a big like reeling effect or stop him from moving. Additionally, we're going to be attacking his magma cores, but we're not going to be breaking them. So we know exactly how much damage each magma core can take, so we don't accidentally overdamage them. Just doing a little quick restock there, but most notably, I bought an item called the Power Charm. That's an item that just sits in my inventory and gives me a passive bonus to my attack power. So if you are playing casually and you've never seen that before, go buy it, because it's very, very useful, and it's going to make you stronger. There's no like leveling, there's no stats to like the hunters natively or anything like that. This is the closest thing to that, and it's just an item that sits in your inventory that makes you stronger, and it can be upgraded too. All right, so Zorah Magdaros 2. As you can see there are stalactites. There's also a stalagmite back there. We're going to be dropping these all over the place, and making sure that we interrupt Zorah Magdaros's long animations and drop them when he's in fixed animations. The other part of this quest, too, is Nergigante does show up again, and the very important thing about that is we're going to be trying to break his horn. Breaking that horn is going to allow us to gather Nergigante's tracks in one gathering visit rather than two. Wow, I got very lucky with that positioning. Let's go. So the magma cores explode in random patterns. The magma cores have two small patterns and one large. The large pattern is just a really big explosion. It takes a really long time for it to charge up, and it does a ton of damage. We don't want to get hit by that. It also is just a giant AoE. The small patterns are 3 small explosions, and there's 2 patterns of them. So we can usually, on most of these, position between those explosions and keep damaging it. So it just takes kind of a keen eye to recognize when that's happening and adjusting accordingly. If we get hit by things here, though, it's not the end of the world. We're wearing that Guardian armor, which has a ton of defense, and then also Health Boost 3 and Divine Blessing 3, which are just very, very good defensive skills that give us more health and sometimes allow us to just not take damage or take a considerably less amount of damage. But we didn't get hit by anything, and I did my first 3 PRs, and I got up here very, very quickly. So we're just going to be waiting for that audio voice line, and we're going to be jumping down here. I want to make sure that we get 5 PRs in on this core. And SNS is kind of unique here, and Green can probably explain this a little bit better, but the way that the part break works on the finisher, since we aren't actually getting the finisher hit, it actually doesn't have a very large part break value at all. And these cores are breakable parts, right? Which Green has recently investigated this, and they're actually counted as small monsters, but they don't go away until they break. So all of this damage that we're dealing is actually dealing damage to Zorah Magdaros too.
Yep. Yeah, every hit except the very final one of PR has a 0.3 part break modifier. And since we aren't latching on, we're not actually getting to do that final hit. So every hit here except that little 17 at the end is 0.3. And that last hit is 1.0 for this. On an actual PR, it would be 2.5.
So we get to take advantage of that, and SNS just gets to deal an absurd amount of damage to these cores because they aren't breaking. So waiting for a very specific part of an animation there to drop that rock. So the rock hits after that voice line from the handler popping up on the right side. This is a breakable part, not a magma core, and we're actually going to break it. And you saw us attack one earlier, and we were queuing up some damage on it because we have time to, but we're going to be attacking that breakable part again. But for some reason, when Zorah Magdaros is standing up, it doesn't break, but it still takes damage, which is very, very cool for us. So we're going to take advantage of that when Zorah Magdaros, because he has a scripted standing section here in a second, we're going to take advantage of that. But first, we're going to put the game back into 60 FPS. So like we talked about earlier, playing in 144, the main reason we do it is because of the text mashing. However, for some reason, we're going to try to out-of-bounds warp into Phase 2 rather than normally transition into Phase 2, because it's going to put us on the left side of the barrier, which is closer to where we want to be, versus the right side. So you want that out-of-bounds. But for some reason, it's very difficult getting that out-of-bounds at 144, and it's free if we get it, if we are on 60 FPS. So we're going to make sure that we're on 60 here. We're going to drop these stalactites because Zorah Magdaros is stopped anyways. And we're going to put some bombs down. We're going to... These have some specific positioning. That looks right. Same thing here. Nergigante is going to land on top of these, but unlike Zorah 1, he could actually break these ones. So we want to put him a little bit away, and we want the explosion to hit his horns. We want to break a horn. And it's pretty free with SNS. So this is kind of a neat little script that we do. All right, so one of those hit, and that's all we really need. It both did. All right, cool. I couldn't
I
really
don't
tell.
think he flinches if only one hits.
Yeah, that might be a thing. So we use that flinch to create an opener for a wall bang. We then do a tenderize during the wall bang, so we can get these thorn pods, and then as you can see, I use the thorn pods to break his horn, and then that's doing a ton of part break at the same time, which broke his horn now. We're done. We don't have to interact with him anymore. We met the health gate. He will transition normally. Sometimes I like to bully him a little bit more, but that might make this hunt slower. So we're just going to let him leave. That's it. That's all we have to do with him. We got our horn break. We're good. Getting the double horn break doesn't really do much. So now Zorah Magdaros is standing up, so we're going to go and play with that rock. And we have named this rock. His name is Rock Friend. GJG, who's in the chat right now, found Rock Friend on a casual playthrough and was like, hey, is this going to be used in the speedrun? And I was like, nah, probably not. And then, well, we learned it's free. There's literally no reason not to do this. But I absolutely did tell him, nah, it probably won't get used, and then we found a way to use it. So, unlike the other rock when we attacked it, we were only able to do, like, one full PR. Ooh, we got fast transition. Interesting. We're only able to do one full PR and then, like, part of a PR1, and you saw there we did, like, 4 of them. Is this going to explode? No! All right, I'll still count that as one. I was trying not to get hit there. We're going to play it safe, and I'm just going to heal up here. I'm going to wait for the next explosion. We can usually fit 2 PRs in between explosions if we have good positioning and good luck. So I was going to count that first one as 1, even though it's a little short on damage. That's A-okay. We'll have plenty of damage going into phase 2. Just want to hit those 4, so it's about to break, so we are no longer going to hit it. And then we're going to go ahead and jump down to the last core. And this one we're going to try to break, though generally you just can't with SNS. But now we're just going to lay into this thing before Zorah gets to the last to the phase 2 barrier. Is there anything else to talk about for phase 2, Green? No. Sick guard slash, let's go. There's really not much that's happening here now. We have pretty much done everything that we need to do. Now we're just waiting. I'm going to wait for this core to explode again. Just going to guard it. And then we're going to do one more PR here while he's phasing out. So what we're trying to do here is push ourselves out of bounds. So we're inside of Zorah Magdaros' back. And because of that, we're like in a place that we shouldn't be. The game counts as out of bounds and then just ports us back to a safe spot. If we did our normal transition, this would put us on the far right side of this barrier rather than the left. So that's the reason why we changed this to 60 FPS, because it does that for us. We're going to go ahead and pre-fire some cannons here. There's one more condition that has to be... Well, there's 2 more conditions that have to be met for this quest to end. We have to get Zorah Magdaros' health low enough, and we need the barrier's health to appear under the assignment information on the far right. So the way that happens is Zorah Magdaros gets to the barrier. So we don't want to quite flinch him yet, and shooting those cannons early just for some reason doesn't flinch him. So it's free damage, yippee. But we're going to let him get up to the barrier, and then we're going to shoot the Dragonator. If you don't know it, if you don't know what it is, it's a really big spear specifically designed for repelling Elder Dragons. It's an iconic piece of Monster Hunter technology that appears in many of the games, and it's probably one of the cooler pieces of technology too. Anyways, where's my Dragonator? Oh my gosh, that was frame perfect. That was scary. All right, now that the barrier health is there, we're just going to lay into him, and we're waiting for an audio dialogue to come up. And there it is. So before the quest ends, we just want to change it back to 144, and I want to craft that pitfall. And that's it. Now we're just waiting for the quest to end, and sometimes he just sits here for 15 seconds and doesn't end the quest. Oh, yippee. All right, want to make sure that we take the resources here. That commendation is going to be another upgrade for our weapon. We really didn't talk about it earlier, but the assigned missions have guaranteed drops for the defender weapons. So as long as we take at specific times, we will make sure that we have those upgrades. And Zorah Magdaros 2, the commendation that it gives is that next one. Now we're going to switch back to Switch Axe. For the next 2 hunts, like Green alluded to earlier, we're going to be fighting another Pukei-Pukei and another Anjanath, but this time they're stronger. And so this Pukei-Pukei fight is a little bit different than the first time that we did it, but we are going to be taking advantage of some of the like scripted AI that it has. Just like the first Pukei-Pukei that we fought, this one has a specific enrage animation where it goes to eat a plant. And I'm going to be taking advantage of that and using that as an opening to continue doing ZSDs. We're also going to use stealth during this. It's a very, very neat script. As long as it goes off correctly, it's very fast too. I don't know. I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. And Green, remind me, do you use Switch Axe for these 2 hunts?
Yes. Only because of high rank Anja.
Right, yeah. High rank Anjanath is very difficult with SNS. It's just terribly difficult.
Yeah. If that one fight was consistent with SNS would be by far the fastest weapon, and we wouldn't even use Switch Axe, but...
Alright, so using a little bit of stealth to initiate this fight. Start off with a wall bang, recover some stamina, and then sprint back over here. We want to get fully charged up before clutch clawing on and starting our ZSD. Alright, we didn't get a Clagger beforehand, which is ideal, but we do get that scripted AI still, which is A-okay. Oh, okay, that's unlucky. That's really unlucky. I did not think you would spin twice. All right, so I'm a little messed up now. We can get one more ZSD in. Good, he didn't run. Just need to drop the Pierce Pod now, which he didn't do, so we're going to go ahead and grab that. Unfortunate. He hit us out of our Gilly Mantle. All right, there we go. 2 pods are on the ground. That's just safe for me. Go ahead and trap. Kind of unfortunate that we got hit out of that, but that was a little bit on me. I thought he would only spin once, but he always spins twice, even if you interrupt his AI with stealth, because it doesn't interrupt that. Head back to Astera, because that's where we have to be next, and head on into the next one, which is track gathering. So we alluded to this earlier. One, we haven't mentioned two. Oh, wait, no, maybe I did. Yeah, we're in the high rank section of the game now. And so they kind of slow down your progression a little bit by using the track gathering method as a story tool. So right now we're investigating some pink scales that are being found throughout the New World. It's never been seen before. We don't know what this creature is, so we have to go and figure out what it is. So to do that, we're going to go and sniff its feet, specifically its feet prints. That is done through track gathering. So to tell you about tracks, tracks will spawn in 1 of 3 patterns in each area for each monster. This section is scripted, and so these monster tracks will always appear here. But we are searching for Rathian tracks. And so there's 1 of 3 patterns that can spawn, and patterns are not made equally. Some are faster and some are slower. Already I can tell you that I am on pattern 1 or 2, and we got bad luck, we got pattern 1. Unfortunately, this pattern has the most number of tracks on it for this sequence, but it takes the longest to do. So we're going to get 20 points towards the 30 that we need, but it just takes forever to do this. That's going to be a reoccurring theme, too, when it comes to track gathering later, because it's not the only time that we do this. Unfortunately, there are the Rathian and then the 3 Elder Dragons that we have to gather tracks for, and that means that there are 4 sets of 3 tracks that we have to memorize, so a grand total of 12 patterns total that we have to memorize. I thought I made a mistake back there and grabbed the wrong track, but I didn't, so we are good. So right now we're at 10. There's 10 more to be had on this pattern, so we're going to grab all of those. And so, unfortunately, this is a little bit of a slower segment. Another great segment for Monster Hunter trivia, which I will absolutely pull up after this and ask another trivia question. Am I blind?
Yeah.
I missed one. I didn't miss one.
No, it's the scale right there.
Right there. Yeah, I did miss one. I was supposed to get 19 there. I was thinking about that Monster Hunter trivia, man. I probably could have gotten away with not doing that, but Nexus is a different. Yeah, Nexus is a different thing. That's the Nexus store, which is curated by Capcom. Since I am a Capcom creator, I'm wearing the hoodie. All right, so that's 200 points or 20. They're all divisible by 10. We're going to go ahead and launch an optional mission to reload those tracks, and we're going to hope for, actually, it doesn't really matter which one we get here. Pattern 2 would be ideal, but it really doesn't matter now. So unfortunately, you can lose up to like 2 minutes on tracks alone because not all patterns are made equally. This is a 1 or a 2 again. Hoping for 2, praying for 2. It's 1! Yippee! Worst possible. It's actually great for marathon practice, though, because we don't want good tracks in marathon. We want bad tracks at marathon. We can still hit the estimate, though, no problem. Between back tracks, which loses us 2 minutes, and missing Expedition Los, which loses us about a minute to a minute and a half, we're still well within that kind of 10-minute buffer that we give ourselves. And this is kind of why we do it, because we have to give ourselves about 5 minutes to make mistakes, and another 5 minutes for just RNG to not be kind to us. Luckily, though, we only need 10 more points here. This is going to be 7, 8, and then we're going to grab these last 2 and return from the expedition. a little dodge there so we get control of the character again, and then return. So it's actually really interesting to note there too. The options there are either abandon quest or return from quest. The way that we input for that is we do go past abandoned quest. And if you accidentally select that one, you lose all progress. So it's definitely a time loss to accidentally do that. So you got to be really, really careful about your menuing there, that you don't accidentally abandon and lose all of that time with your track progress. But now we have enough research points on this question mark Rathian investigation to start our next assigned mission. And the way that we have gathered is to make sure that when we finish this assigned mission, it's actually going to complete that track gathering, because this mission does give us some of the progress towards that. Grabbing these stones here and gillying up. Oop, I did that frame perfect as I was jumping off. Yippee. Losing a little time there. It's all good, though. This Anjanath has a variable spawn, but he'll always end up in this area, so we're actually going to be setting up a pitfall trap and using stealth mechanics to make this fight consistent. Green, can you explain how we use stealth here?
Yeah. So every monster has a kind of scripted AI it does when you leave stealth and it tries to notice you. Anjanath happens to take a very long time from the animation starting to you actually leaving stealth. So we can actually abuse that, because after every clagger, he's gonna stop, back up, and then try to roar. But our ZSD finisher is gonna go off before that roar happens, so we'll stay in stealth AI, and he's just gonna back up after every clagger, which makes landing our finisher much more consistent.
Very good. Playing it a little safe there, not doing the sweaty strat of tranking and trapping and then doing that last ZSD, only because it's incredibly tight, and if you miss the Clutch Claw, which is very easy to do against brute wyverns like Anjanath, you end up on the hands instead of the head, and then you don't have enough time to deal the damage that you need to the head to, well, capture it. So instead, just taking the easier way out, doing some overdamage, and then getting the safety capture there instead of doing the more riskier thing and losing the run. Because at this point, we're very, very tight on resources. I only have one extra trap, and I'd much rather have that for the next fight, which is Pink Rathian. Something very interesting about Pink Rathian is this fight is faster with SNS, so much that switching to SNS here is still faster. Whoops. It's also infinitely more consistent. I was having a lot of trouble keeping this fight together using Switch Axe, so we're going to go ahead and, switch over to a different weapon. We're going to have to downgrade our, our Switch Axe to get that commendation back so we can actually do the upgrade for the Sword and Shield, get our last couple of trap tools there, and we're going to go directly into this hunt. Unlike all the other hunts, though, this is going to simulate something that we call a drunk bird, which is essentially when the winged drake doesn't quite get us to the camp because we get ambushed by a monster. So it's going to put us right in front of her. And right out the gate, abusing stealth mechanics once more. We're going to use those stealth mechanics to lure her into this hallway. I'm going to let green do the rest of the talking now.
Yep, so starting out with a single hit into a wallbang, which will land us on top of slinger ammo that we can use for another wallbang after we do a half tenderize. Claw uppercut this roar because it has super armor and get the other half of the tenderize. Second wallbang. Pick up this bomb pod she dropped from our first tenderize and do a PR. We intentionally don't want a Clagger here, so we're not waiting it out or anything. And now we're going to lure her off the cliff for 2 reasons. First, it gives us a flash opening to land a PR, and second, it gets her away from another monster that would show up later on, who's annoying to deal with. Now another PR in the blast topple gets us a Clagger. We can use this Clagger same way as Paolumu to put down the pitfall trap. And then because her flash is going to run out while she's in the trap, we can actually fit in 3 PRs here. Get a Clagger. Now we can go for a KO.
Oh no. Oh no, I missed it.
Yeah. And now we can Slinger Burst 2 bomb pods into a slow PR.
Thought I missed. Oh.
And now we have a pod on the ground, so we can safely clutch on, throw 2 tranks in a trap, and then PR in the trap. Nice.
All right, not bad. Yeah, my positioning there to get that KO was just a little off. I missed that first hit, but that is A-okay. We were still able to hold it all together, taking advantage of the AI that it gave us, which was really good. That triple fireball is actually super easy to dodge if you just know the timing for it. For some reason, it always feels like she backs up at the same distance every single time, but those iframes are very, very forgiving to dodge through that fireball. Make sure that we take these materials too. 217 is about 10 seconds slow on this, but that's A-okay. You can see just how optimized some of these fights are, that a single mistake will lose a couple of seconds. But now we are heading into the Elder Tracks sequence again. Or more track gathering, right? And
Dodo pull.
Yes, you can start Dodo Pull now. So this is our other incentive. For the run, another kind of fan favorite. Eventually, in the last area that we encounter here, ooh, bad tracks. I can't see. I'm just gonna double check it. It looks like, yeah, I got bad tracks. Yippee! Dude, we literally got the worst possible tracks for this already. This is the slowest track pattern out of all of them. This loses the most amount of time. This is perfect for marathon practice. I hope I'm still on my estimate. I think I am. We should be fine. Mathematically,
Your is very free.
Yeah, mathematically we should be fine. It's just barring any like major complications, right? It's very easy to make a very small mistake and just lose like 2 minutes because of it. Like carding. Carding is always a minute time loss, and if you know, I've carded in PB and world record attempts. So yeah, the incentive right now that's up is dropping the rock on Dota Gamma, yes or no. So we'll have the opportunity to drop a very large rock onto Dota Gamma later. Dota Gamma is a fan favorite. He's a big blue lizard. He loves eating rocks. So if you want to feed Dota Gamma, make sure you vote to drop the rock on him. But if you don't want to, because it is dropping a really big rock on him, you know, you can save the Dota Gamma instead. So this poll is essentially save or spare the Dota Gamma. So you guys fight for it over in chat. Which would you rather have? A nice, healthy, well-fed Dota Gamma or one without a concussion? Make sure you vote now. Forever hold your peace. What am I up to? I forgot. 8. So this is 10. What am I at? 12, 13 now? Yeah, this is right. We are, in fact, dropping the rock. Let's go. Did I miss one?
Plus 2 seconds, yippee.
No, I didn't. One. Oop. Those 13, 14, 15. Making sure I don't miss things by counting here. Counting is really hard.
Yeah. There's also a spare track at the end if you want to be safe.
True. I can also check right. Oops. Here. So that's 17. 18. 19. And then it's like right here after the ledge. Yep, 20. Nice. All right. So that's Elder Dragon 1 of 3. Unlike the Pink Rathian, where we needed 400 points, for these we only need 200 each. And that is the first set for Kushala Daora, as I like to say it. Kushala Daora. Or Kushala for short. Each vote was 500 bagels. Yeah, that one's one that we have set up for a while, so that one was expensive. So, unfortunately, we got the worst possible Kushala pattern, which loses the most amount of time. There is the least amount of variance between... There's a little variance between the Teostra patterns, which we got a pretty good one here. This is the middle of the road, right?
Yeah. Teo and Vaal also have the same amount of variance between their patterns.
Oh, they do? Okay. So 2, 3... 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Yeah, so Kushala is just the worst amount of variance. I mean, that one pattern just lost a ton of time, unfortunately. But there's nothing we can do about it. We've talked about making a category that fixes the track patterns, because we do have a tool that will allow us to do that. But just not enough interest for it yet. Hopefully with, this run and with Wilds coming out, that becomes a little bit more of an attractive thing for people in the future. At 100 right now, right? Yep, so this is 120. We want to go up here. 130, 140. 15. 16. 17, 18. And then we've got 2 more points right down here. All right, not bad. All right. Second to last set. This is the Vaal Hazak set that we're going into next. It's in the Rotten Vale. Love this place. Lore-wise, I really like the Rotten Vale. The dodo has not been petted yet. After the Rotten Vale, we will get to pet the Dodo Gamma in the Elder's Recess. So we got pattern 2 here. We can immediately tell by the color of the scout flies. If we see blue and green, we know we got pattern 1 or 3. If we only see green, we know we got pattern 2. Pattern 2, right in the middle of the road. Very easy set to do. Probably the one that I prefer the most. It's also the one I feel like I do the most. But just a quick little walk here. Trying to make sure that I don't accidentally miss one. I missed one on my last run, and that cost me 35 seconds, and I was very upset about that. So we'll make sure that we don't miss any this time. I do think I just missed grabbing the last one, or that one right there. I might have grabbed the Odogaron track instead. That might have been what happened. Well, no, then I would have had 200 points. No, I like legitimately just missed one somewhere. It might have just been like the last one. Very easy to do sometimes, though. You just got to turn your brain off and go through and do this really quick, and you miss a track. And you don't want to do that because it loses time having to come back. Yo, Silver.
Well, it probably was because your time loss was on the Kushala split, right? Which meant you didn't notice it until you were talking to all the people.
I didn't notice it until right here. I noticed it right here because it said 19, not 20.
And you waited till Kushala to get the footprint back?
Yeah, I did. I waited till Kushala because I figured it would save a fast travel because I could talk to FTL and Huntsman, go on the expedition, and then return to the research base. And then talk to her there. And so it cut out one. It literally cuts out one fast travel. Like, that's it. It cuts out like one load. But that only works for Kushala, or excuse me, for Vaal Hazak. Like, it doesn't work for the other ones. If it was any of the other ones, I would have to do it like right there. But for Vaal Hazak, I could wait.
It works for all of them. You just do it after Reese.
Oh yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, because the first one you talk to, you don't need them. All right, so this is the Elder's Recess. This is Green's favorite split, and we're totally talking about something else during that. And so Green's going to talk about this.
We're in an auto scroller for the next like 30 seconds. It's fine.
But it's your favorite auto scroller.
Yeah, so this is similar to Mercer Skip. We can just squeeze past the Admiral's slow walk radius here and just keep sprinting into Elder's Recess proper.
Yeah, it's kind of tight. We have a couple different, cues for that. You can count 2 seconds after he says Nergigante, or you can count his footsteps after he says Nergigante, which is also 2. And then you can slip right past him, skips this whole walking section, lets you run all the way up until right here. We're grabbing that bitter bug. It's very, very important. We need that literal 1 bitter bug. Very nice that we grabbed it right there. We do get to pet Dodagama here shortly, so thank you guys so very much for participating in that. Milestone incentive. We're going to go ahead and pet the Dodagama with a very large rock. Another skippable cutscene, and we are now in the Elder's Recess. So that's exactly what it sounds like. The Elder's Recess is a hotbed of bioenergy, which attracts Elder Dragons. So Elder Dragons roam about here freely, as well as some very large, very dangerous... what's the word I'm looking for? Just high-rank monsters, too. I'll grab the stone up here. It'll probably be a little bit easier.
Yep. Yeah, so this expedition, we need to spot 3 monsters and gather 6 sets of Nergigante spikes. There's 2 at each monster. So this first monster, he's going to roar at us immediately, but we're actually right on the edge of his roar radius. So as long as we turn around, he just doesn't hit us. We're going to grab this rock to set us up for the next monster.
Yeah, so there's 2 strategies with dealing with the next monster. It's Dodagama, spoilers. This is the slow strategy, but it's definitely the more fun one.
Yeah, and it only loses like 2 seconds, so it's worth it. Yeah, so dodging into the cutscene to teleport us next to the other spike, and then dropping the rock on it. Why'd you gilly?
Because you don't have enough time.
Yes, you do.
Oh, you do? Well, I gillied because I couldn't remember if I had enough time or not. I don't remember doing this often. I was scared, okay? It was the Gajas. But there you go. That's what you guys donated for.
Yeah.
It's dropping the rock on him. It's a very little quick, and it's entirely optional. We don't even need to do that, and we did.
Yeah, the faster way is just gilly as soon as you're out of the cutscene, but where's the fun in that?
Alright, we are done with Nergigante tracks now. So coming out of this, we're also going to do Hog and a Frog. All of the incentives happening all at once. Isn't that great?
Yippee.
And making sure that we got that horn break on the Zorah 2 quest means that we do that in 1 trip rather than 2. All right, so this is Hog and a Frog. We're going to come over here and say hi to our friend Poogie. Hi, Poogie. We have to give Poogie the best pet in the world. We're giving him so many good scritches right now, and we just gave him the best pet. Now we get to pick him up because he loves us, because we pet him. So we're going to go ahead and pick him up, and as you're holding Poogie, your controller actually vibrates around specific points of interest in here. My controller's already done it a couple times, passing those torches. But we're going to take him over to this lantern. And we want to put him down right next to it because he's going to sniff it and he's going to find a brand new costume. So there is a speed run to do this. You can do this immediately after the Jagras of the Ancient Forest quest. Change clothes to Hog and a Frog. Yippee, we did it. There he is. There's the boy. The Hog and a Frog. We love him so much. There you go. Getting good pets. and that's what you guys donated for. There's a speed run to do that. It's 12 minutes long. It's a ton of fun. Thank you guys so very much for participating in that poll, or in that milestone incentive to unlock the Hog and a Frog. Froggers in chat. Carrie, you literally showed up at the perfect time. You showed up for Hog and a Frog.
Let's go.
But now we're going to be doing Nergigante. So this begins the Elder Dragon fights. Before we do that, we're going to do our second to last upgrade, and we're going to make a weapon for our Palico. This is the high rank Pukei-Pukei bow for the Palico that deals poison damage. Right now we have the second to last upgrade, or we have the second to last upgrade for the SNS. So it's pretty strong right now. Excuse me. Ugh. I was fighting that sneeze so I could get through that sentence. But this is our first Elder Dragon fight, and Elder Dragons are tough, but SNS makes really quick work of them. We do have scripts for these fights. The only one that we don't is Vaal Hazak, that has a strategy. It's a pseudo script. It's a pseudo lock. It's still very, very cool, and very, very hard to do. This next fight, there's a little bit of variance to it. Green's going to try to walk you through it while we go. But before we get into the quest, I'm going to eat this Might Seed, and I'm going to grab another stone here, dropping this Crystal Burst on the ground for me to pick up later. All right, Green, have at it.
Yep, so to start out, we're just going to try and bait out his AI to let us get a wall bang in, because he unfortunately doesn't start in a position where we can.
All right, there we go.
Now we're going to Claw Uppercut and Tenderize. This will weaken the head and drop a Thorn Pod for us to wall bang again with, and queue up a KO. Now the interesting thing here is a monster actually can't be KO'd during a wallbang topple, so he's just going to be one blunt hit away from a KO this whole time. We need to do one normal hit on the head to get this weird flinch out of the way, and then a shield bash to KO. We're not worried about trying to get any control in on this KO.
Ooh, okay.
Good RNG.
Yeah, well, this is the one that I don't know how to do that well, so bad RNG for me. So no horn break there does change how we have to approach this. This is technically the faster way, but I am bad at this. Let's see if I've gotten better. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. All right.
Next.
Very good fight. When he started hitting me, I got scared. Pretty much that fight, though, is an alternating control between Claggers and his Spike Break. Nergigante and all Elder Dragons have what's called an Elder Aura. That's a special effect that builds up throughout the fight that allows its fight to kind of change. For Nergigante, that is is spike growth. So he has 3 states, no spikes, white spikes, and black spikes. White spikes are the best. They have the best hit zone value, and if you break them, you get these really long topple animations, which is what we were chaining together there. Black spikes are really, really bad. It means you didn't get to break the white spikes, and they also have a very bad hit zone and make your weapons bounce off of them. You don't want black spikes. And then no spikes are fine, but the way that we do this fight, you're able to deal enough damage to alternate between white spikes building back up, because the speed that they grow back is based on the amount of damage that you also do to that part for some reason. And then also chaining that together with claggers. It is such a interesting... Oh, 326, all right. Very interesting fight and a very interesting way to control the monster. It just means you have a lot of very precise PRs that you have to do, especially because we need to make sure that we get the horn breaks, so the horn breaks don't overwrite the claggers or spike breaks. Regardless, the fight is done. We are now moving on to Kushala Daora. So very similarly to the Nergigante fight, we're going to be locking Kushala in a way that's called a headlock. We won't be alternating different types of control, but instead getting the same control over and over again, because we're only going to deal damage to the head. And we're going to be very, very careful about not over-damaging the head, because if we over-damage, we skip the threshold, and we don't want to do that. Oh, look at him. He's wearing the frog suit. I love him. Oh, man, this is blessed. Do you see that guy wearing the frog suit? That was awesome. Holy crap. And now that we've fought Nergigante, we've gotten our last defender weapon upgrade too. So we're going to be upgrading our weapon for the very last time here. And then now we have the strongest weapon in the base game. Something to remind you all about is like, hey, like, why would Capcom put this in here? This is literally what the weapon and the armor is designed for, is speed running the game. Capcom added the Guardian armor and defender weapon to the game when Iceborne was announced. Iceborne is the master rank DLC to this game that you can only access after you beat Xeno'jiiva, the goal of this speedrun. So they put in this armor and this weapon to help people get to that as fast as possible. In a way that, you know, still functions within the game's parameters, right? So you still have to know how to do the fights. You still have to upgrade the equipment. You still have to understand the basics of the game, but not necessarily the fundamentals. So a lot of people look at this as a bad... It's not a very beginner-friendly mechanic because it doesn't really teach you how to play the game. But for speedrunning, it's amazing. So we are going through and doing some of the NPC chatting that's required to unlock the Elder Dragons. We're going to go ahead and skip the Huntsman for right now and do a routing technique called Late Huntsman. It's just a really neat late optimization that's going to save us a couple of seconds by talking to him later. After we defeat 2 of the Elder Dragons, it actually is going to put us back at that council table in Astera, and we'll talk to Huntsman then. For now, we're going to go ahead and launch our quest back into the Elder's Recess to fight Kushala Daora. Green, is there anything else to talk about Kushala here?
Not really.
Yeah, this fight's pretty straightforward. It's a little sketchy opening it up. We do have to flash him out of the air, get a wall bang, which if we don't do like a head tap in a very specific way, we can end up putting him in a really awkward position. There's only a couple ways that this wallbang actually misses, because he just has a really long wallbang duration. Just travels for miles. It's really, really funny, actually. But we're going to go ahead and set up our might items. I'm going to hover this flash pod because he starts up in the air. And then I'm just going to let this speak for itself. Good AI. All right. That's it. The biggest difficulty of that fight is adjusting and redirecting your PRs based on the head flails and your positioning. It's a little difficult to always try to position accurately on that fight. I'm not too terribly good at it. Green's a lot better than me, especially with this new strategy. But that's still really, really good. Getting that PR, that KO there at the end was kind of unfortunate. We're going for the fast finish, which I guess I can't do if I hit too many shield hits, huh?
You can. You just need to position your PR during the KO better.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I guess because I always just like go into doing 2 PRs, but you could definitely just like abandon one and then just do the one back on the head.
Yeah, because like falling shield bash into like a PR when his head lands only loses like half a second.
Right. So making sure that we grab that Mandragora there at the end too to make another max potion. We still have 2 now that we can use. After pretty much all the other dragon fights, we can make 1 more, so we always have 1 for a fight, which is nice. 246 is a great time. 230x is the goal now. 240 just feels really good. Turtle, thank you so much for the 67 months. 2 more months, and then you never have to sub ever again. Dude, thank you so much for the 67 months of tier 2 and helping support me and all of this nonsense. Thank you so much. Exclamation PP and helping us get even closer to that. This is Vaal Hazak. So we didn't really get to see Kushala's Elder Aura. It's wind, it's annoying, but as long as you're dealing damage to him, you get to ignore it. However, Vaal Hazak's is always there. It's called Effluvia. Effluvia is the essence of death, and for some reason, that means Effluvia cuts our health in half. We can get rid of that by using an item called a Nullberry, which we've been gathering plenty of during this run, and there's also some in this area. But ideally, that doesn't happen. It cuts our health in half, and when we restore it, we have red bar, which if we get hit by anything, including the just AoE tick damage that he does, we just lose that entire bar. Very, very obnoxious. Grand Big 8, thank you for that follow. Come on in. But this is Vaal Hazak. He's a very cool fight. He's a big eel dragon. I think he's super cool. We're going to start this off with a claw uppercut, and we're going to be doing a pseudo script here. I don't know, Green, if you can explain this better than me.
Yeah. So Vaal basically has, similar to Nergigante, we're going to be alternating thresholds. Vaal Hazak's thresholds work a little weird, though. He has 1 threshold that's body-wide and 1 that's only on his stomach. So we're going to be trying to overlap them in ways where we don't skip control. It's a little weird, but it usually works out.
Fire? Good. All right, we are off to a very good start here. He gave me good AI to, like, start this, and so now we're going to be alternating these claggers and chest daggers. Interesting. No. Alright, so you said a timed PR on the head.
Yeah, and you're probably going to get the parry here, so you can probably keep going on the head after that. And then you're going to want to, unless you hit blue sharpness, you're going to want to rush the PR after the Slinger Burst. So that little chest flinch he has actually can't be overwritten, so it is just sitting at 1 HP right now.
Please don't paralyze me. Alright, I'm gonna let him move all the way through that. Baby jailed. Tiger, good. Alright, so we're back on We're back on a good cycle for this, but we are in blue sharpness, which means we're doing a little less damage. We are having to deal with Gyros here too. He's gonna suck all the effluvia out of him, which might stop him for a little. Another Clagger, please. Thank you. Which was that? Dragon Pod. And I dropped a Gyros on the other side here. We're just gonna grab that and re-up our Might Seed. Oh, goodness. All right, cool.
Nice.
That went really, really well, even with getting that. All right, thank you for telling me that earlier today. That happened to me twice where I got leg breaks or I got paralysis or I, like, lost the flinch somewhere, and Green literally told me earlier today, like, how to do that, and I messed it up both times and got, like, an over 5-minute hunt, and so that was a really good recovery. That was still under 5 minutes, and that's kind of the goal here. And good call on the blue sharpness there, too. Man, he's so good at this game. That's why he's commentating for me.
Yeah, I think blue sharpness is actually optimal because it means you can time your PR regardless of how much
no
of the
matter
Slayer
what
Burst goes into the chest.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Gyros. Do that every time now. So the next Elder Dragon is probably the hardest one, only because it's the most punishing if we lose the script. It's at least the most hardest. It's the hardest one in my book. The most hardest. It's the hardest one in my opinion, just because if you lose the script, it's very, very punishing, and the opener is frame perfect. We have to dodge a roar at the very beginning of the hunt, and if we miss that, 413 is very good. What the heck? A 413 is very good.
Yeah, like I knew that was good. I was expecting like a 420.
Yeah. So this is that late Huntsman movement that we were talking about. We're going to come over here, talk to Huntsman a little bit afterwards. Just saves a little bit of time, like 5-6 seconds. We're going to come in here. Well, I thought over late FTL.
No, 1 period.
1 period? That's it?
It loses half a second compared to late FTL, but we need the extra Might Seed.
Let's go! Yeah, no, so the way that we do the Elder Dragons is actually in a specific way based on how many Might Seeds we can get at the end of the quest. And we need a demon drug, a demon powder, and a Might Seed all for this quest to make sure that we keep this lock together. If we don't have one of those, we cannot do this lock. So that's why the Might items, as I like to call them, are so important. Going to be equipping the flashes here, very similarly to the opener for Legiana. We're going to be getting a mount that's going to force Teostra to fly, and then we're going to flash him out of the air to give us a PR opening. A lot of scripts are just trying to figure out how do we get PR openings, and this was probably one of the more creative ways. We were literally sitting here, scripting it out, and went, oh my gosh, we're idiots, Legiana, and then figured it out instantly. Was a very funny moment. But there's a frame-perfect roar dodge here. I missed it earlier. Let's go. Green, tell us about the auras in the fight.
Yeah, so we got unlucky here and got Fire Aura, which means he's going to be just dealing constant damage to us until we get 2 or 3 flinches on him. And it also gives him access to the Quick Bite move, which is one of 2 attacks that, even if you time everything correctly, will just hit you out and cancel the lock.
Beautiful. The Teostra roller coaster, you gotta love it.
And that's the Quick Bite.
I was a little slow on my PR there. I probably could have rushed PR2 and been fine, or been a little bit faster on my PR2 and been fine. But that's the quick bite. We can't do anything about that, unfortunately. I was a little slow on my PR2, so that's probably why that hit me like as generously as it did. But that is definitely one that is a little unavoidable.
Yeah, on a topple, you can play around it, but if that had happened on a Clagger, like, even if he'd done everything perfectly, it would have hit him.
So now we're fighting without might items. Maybe I should have eaten to get some of that back.
You should be... He has a very tiny head threshold. You should be okay.
Yeah. We're just going to be really watching ourselves now. We're going to keep the flashes equipped, too. Because when he does transition out of this area, he likes to fly. All right. Very cool. Very, very good. Trying to position him so he's not on top of this ground that likes to break. How did I miss the head there? All right. I was not close at all. Enrage out of bounds. That's fine. Sure, dude. Didn't even enrage. He's still yellow icon. What's this about? All right. Cancel the Rory animation. That's good. There goes my Tenderize. That's bad. Horn Break. That saved my life. Ideally a KO next. There it is. Rush PR2. And rush PR2. Oh, just get out of the way. All right, we're good.
Nice.
Good recovery on that. Just unfortunate to cart. Like Green said, it was literally the perfect storm of bad AI there. There really wasn't much to do. Like I said, I was a little slow on that PR2, so maybe that could have saved me. But that was a fast bite out of Clagger, right? So like that was literally...
It was a fast bite out of topple, so...
Oh, so out of topple, yeah. So that was a misinput on my part, but still, it's just like one of the very... It's like a very tight punish, right? It unfortunately got me. That's okay. Like I said, it's all built into the estimate. You know, if we do this perfectly, it's a 230 RTA. If we do a little messed up, a little jank, and a little bit for marathon, should still be able to hit a 236, no problem. Yeah, around 223 pace. This is fine. So 223 is what world record is. Smile. And we still got about, what, 5 minutes, 6 minutes left?
7.5.
7.5, yeah. So we'll still hit that 236.
Yeah.
That'll be A-okay. Yeah, about 2 minutes slow there. That's okay. But this is the last fight. This is Xeno'jiiva, and just like all the other monsters, we do have a script against this guy as well. We're going to be bullying his left hand. We're going to be attacking that left hand over and over and over again, in a very particular way, so we can chain hand topples over and over. We're going to be using Slinger Bursts to achieve that, and we're going to be timing our PRs in very specific ways to meet those thresholds. Xeno'jiiva is a 2-phase fight. He does HP lock in phase 1. We shouldn't hit that beforehand. Like, he won't, we won't hit, like, the lock. We can't, like, beat him in phase 1. So, we'll always be taking this to phase 2, right? But in phase 1, that's where we kind of set up the pace for phase 2. There is a strategy to set up a hand topple the moment phase 2 starts, and it's a little difficult to do sometimes. If you do the opener perfectly, you don't have to worry about it and you can get it. But sometimes he just doesn't like let you do that. Or we can take advantage of additional environmental traps. There are 4 rocks that we can drop in here. And if we can end up dropping 2 of those rocks, we'll take that over getting the opener perfect. But here's Xeno'jiiva. This is the final boss monster to Xeno% and to the run. And so we're going to try to bait him over here by using... I can't drop that, dude. He was so close. We're going to try to... Oh, whoops. That's not good.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Accidentally ate my other Might Seed, but as long as we go fast, we're going to be okay. So we use that rock drop as an opening. Oh, all right, we're fine. KA, thank you so much for the raid. Everyone come to KA raid. You made it just in time for the end of a run. Oh my gosh. Let's see who else raided. Oh, Citrus. Thank you so much, Citrus. You guys are super cool. All right, there's our trip. Oh, wow, I even missed part of that. Well, I guess I had to do a bunch of extra hits. We're good. All right, so now we're going to be rushing PRs after Slinger Bursts. And our positioning is going to be in a way that we can keep this going no matter the AI. There's like 1 or 2 attacks that he can do that really disrupts this, as well as just like chasing the cat around. Unfortunately, I cannot set up the fast trip for phase 2, so we're just going to do this normally. Get a little bit of extra damage in. He's only a couple hits away. Citrus KA, guys, thank you so much for that, for those raids. If you guys don't know Citrus and KA, they're Monster Hunter friendos, they're variety streamers, they're all around amazing people, and I love them dearly. Please go and check them out if you haven't done so already. If you guys don't know me, I speedrun Monster Hunter games, and we're preparing a submission for HDQ. So hang out and watch the end of it. We're just finishing up the run. I have to get 2 claw uppercuts here. Actually, I can tenderize this, can I? Uh-oh, I'm going to die. Yippee.
Yeah, you should be. Yeah, it should be like 400 damage away, so even a blast proc shouldn't over damage it.
This doesn't kill me, this doesn't kill me, this doesn't kill me, this doesn't kill me. Yippee! Oh, cool.
Oh, blessed.
I'm bad at this positioning, though.
It's literally called the Bagel Special.
I did it! Yippee! All right, now we just keep this hand lock forever. Yellow icon, go slow.
Xeno does stay toppled longer when he's unenraged, which gives us 1 or 2 full-timed PRs during the hunt if everything's going well.
No, the 1 attack. All right, we're gonna play this safe. Kios, thank you for the raid. Everyone come to Kios raid. My name is JalBagel. I speedrun Monster Hunter games. I also love Kios very, very dearly. He is an amazing friendo. And if you guys don't know him, you should go check him out right now. He speeds runs Final Fantasy and plays a variety of video games, unlike yours truly. Please go and check him out. I love that man dearly. Huh. How did I miss that? Bad positioning.
Yeah, bad positioning, maybe bad camera, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. I didn't like where I was either.
Yeah.
I really like where I am right now. No shot. It's okay, step forward always gives us the same AI. We can time that PR right there. I am in the worst position, and none of that hit the hand, so... All right. Whoa!
Anyway.
This is going great, guys. This fight's going awesome. I'm already in blue sharpness now, too. So that's one of the buffs that I did have to maintain is yellow sharpness. So if he gives me good animation here, I will try to resharpen. But as it stands right now, probably not gonna... Oh my gosh. If I miss one more of these. I might have to retenderize the arm. Don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me. Yippee! Good AI! Oh, thank goodness. I hate where I am. Why did I time that? Never punished. Where did that even go? I didn't even see a damage number.
It went into the arm, but your might seat's gone.
Yeah. I need you to die now, please. Thank you. Okay, so we lost about a minute there. We aren't going to talk about it. That was still like a decent fight. I lost the lock a bunch of times just from like positioning and camera angle. This fight's highly, highly variable. It's like the slightest mistake kind of sends it. But we still did hit our estimate perfectly fine. 236. And I think just about everything that could go wrong went wrong. We got the worst track patterns like possible. We got the worst Rathian patterns and the worst Kushala pattern. So right out of the gate, we lost we lost a significant amount of time just to tracks.
Yeah, you only could have lost 30 more seconds to tracks.
Yeah, so we lost a minute and a half then to tracks. That's wild.
Yeah,
right. That's 2 minutes variance. Give or take.
Yeah, because you lost 34 to Pink Rathian, you lost 50 to... You lost 35 to Kushala, you lost 15 to Teo, and you lost 10 to Vaal.
Yeah. So that happened. We missed Expedition Los, which is another minute. Or two.
Carted to Teo, which is a minute and a half.
Carted to Teo, which is probably the worst cart out of the entire run. Other than like Rathalos, like I'd say missing Expedition Los and then carting to Rathalos would be like the worst. So there's no way that happens.
Yeah, carting. I think the biggest possible time loss is carting early in Xeno.
Oh yeah. And still hit the estimate. And so like that's, if you're asking yourself, hey, why do you have a 10-minute buffer? I was hitting 230 RTAs back to back last week, and here we are today hitting a 236. So losing 6 minutes, and I would say 2 of that was to RNG, 2 of that was to a skill issue, and 1 of that was another RNG. Yeah, no, this is good. So yeah, thank you guys so very much for hanging out. Green, thank you for providing commentary for me again.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for participating in our incentives during the run. The incentives really didn't lose that much time too. The Hog and the Frog is the one that loses the most, which is about 30 seconds, which fits into the estimate. So all of the incentives that we're doing don't really lose that much time. And that was the name bid wars for the Hunter and the Palico, the Dodo Gamma rock drop bid war, which we call Savor Bully the Dodo Gamma or Savor Spare, and then the Hog and a Frog reveal, unlocking Hog and a Frog. So thank you very much. I hope you guys consider Monster Hunter World for AGDQ. I'm very excited. I love this run. I love this game. Green does too. And we're all very, very excited for Wilds to be coming out, which is going to be coming out February 28th. So literally the month after AGDQ. So there's going to be a lot of hype about Monster Hunter going into the new year, especially 2025 is the year of Monster Hunter. I don't know about y'all. I'm really excited about it. I got to play a little bit at TwitchCon, and it's a ton of fun. And so we're going to be coping with Monster Hunter until then, Monster Hunter World until then. So I really do hope you guys consider this. I know it's a very, very long ask, but I really do think that this game has a lot of potential to get a lot of people excited. We've showcased it on Hotfix, and we've had a ton of people watch it on the Hotfix and on the VODs for Hotfix, and I really do think people just love Monster Hunter, and there's a lot of really good ways to drive interaction with this game. So Once again, my name is JalBagel. I was joined by Green Speed. Say bye, Green.
Bye-bye.
And this was Monster Hunter World Xeno%. Thank you guys again, and I hope to see you at AGDQ 25. Take care, everyone.